Hi there.
Hi there.
If you're watching this, it means they've turned the key.
Turn your key, sir.
Push the button.
5.
Sir, we have a launch order.
And you probably have about 20 minutes.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
No, I'm just kidding. You're watching this means that I couldn't be here with you tonight. I had a prior engagement.
I now pronounce you man and wife.
Don't tell my wife. And I wanted to re-air a show that I did with a gentleman named Jamie Lee. He had a YouTube channel called The Plain Truth. Actually, he had about 20 of them. They kept canceling him. He's a very interesting man, a very interesting interview. I would have loved to have interviewed him again, but unfortunately, God took him. Actually, right shortly after this interview, this actually is his last live interview that he ever gave. So I was blessed with that, and I would like to share it with you again tonight. And hopefully you'll have a wonderful time and a fun chat. And God willing, I'll be back soon, and if not, by next Friday. So anyways, everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for being here, and I hope you stay and watch the show. God bless you. Love you. Okay. Bye.
Crank up the music. Keep an eye on the back.
This presentation is provided to you to amuse or entertain and not to conform or inform. The content on this channel should not be used to replace professional, financial, medical, or legal advice. All footage taken and used from public sources falls under the fair use of the Digital Millennial Copyright Act of 1998. Therefore, no breach of privacy or copyright has been committed. This show is substantially sourced, not affiliated with any community, club, fraternity, or gang. Your cat may vary. to a therapist the other day. Went into his office, sat down. He said, "So tell me, what brings you here today?" I said, "I have this horrific fear of tsunamis." He said, "Really? How bad is it?" I said, it comes in waves."
Satellite tracking continues.
Wow. Wow. Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Whoop, whoop. We did it again. We stayed on the right side of the grass. Turn the camera on. He says, now, click. There. Hi. Whoa. I was a little close. How's it going, everyone? Boy, am I excited tonight. Very special guest. It's just going to be mostly an interview. I can't wait to have you hear his presentation. I watched it the other night, and I just contacted him and said, could you do it again? And well, let me bring him on board really quick here. He goes by the YouTube stream Plain Truth. There he is. He's an author, Jamie Lee. Thank you for being here. And let me bring this up real quick here. Clickety click. And he is sort of what they would call an OG truther. He's been doing this for how many years, Jamie?
Telling the truth.
Yeah.
Hi, all. Thanks for first of all, thank you, Richard, and for having me. And I wasn't aware of your channel until now, and I've been doing this since 2007. When I
the feeling's mutual. You're at 15 or 16. That's why it's called a Plain Truth. 15.
Yeah, I've been shut down. Yeah, I kind of got a stubborn streak in me, but yeah, it's just to prove a point. And it's been going on since Plain Truth 1 or .info, and I had over 600,000 subscribers. And
wow.
It's just about getting the information out. And for me, it started with 9/11 when I watched Press for Truth, and what was the other one? Loose Change. And so that got me going. So yeah, you're bringing up my books here. So
yeah, he has a website. It's a plaintruth.info, and on it, I just was blown away. He has all his information on here free. He has all these books on here free. You can download them tonight, whatever you want. It's quite awesome to find someone that is just trying to get the truth out there. And I love that. That's wonderful.
Thank you. And you get free copies, by the way, for having me on. Hard copies. No, it's just, I was in Wall Street for 20 years. My background is working as an investment banker. I started in the New York Stock Exchange in 1985. I went to for one of the first trading, when trading started to be a deal. Before it was investments, you held the stocks. And in the 80s, they started lowering the commissions and ending the fixed commissions. And this is when trading began. And that's, and I watched it go all the way to everybody can now access the kitchen and trade, to now children are being able to get on FanDuel and bet on games, and the odds are in, that kind of thing. So my background from there went to realizing the corruptness, the sheer business. When I started on the New York Stock Exchange, the first day or two, the head trader took me, and I was coming from living in Sun Valley, Idaho, being a ski bum. And next thing I'm in New York City on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, where the head trader has a drink, says, son, let me teach you about Wall Street. You're either at the table or you're going to be on the table. Takes a huge swing. And you pray or you better pray. See ya. And he walked out.
Well, I
and
like
the,
that.
Well,
I'm
business,
gonna steal that.
it's known Wall Street, just like don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. It's what you can get away with. And until we start frog marching some people and really getting behind who's doing all this, and we are going to talk about genocide tonight. We are going to talk about murder tonight. And now it's happening to the white folks, and now it's happening on our homelands, and everybody's going, what? Because we're supposed to be the protected, the savior, you're with us or against us. And we got the almighty fleets to protect us against everything. That's the story. Well, the homeland's under attack, folks. And you and I know it, Richard. And this is what we need to get out. We need to share it. And the cognitive dissonance of people, even after Lanai. I mean,
can I add something to that?
Sure.
It's whatever the shape you believe the place that we live on is. It's happening the entire plain, I guess you'd say, because let's see, where is it? So here's the wildfires in Tenerife, which I think it was the Canary Islands. They're currently on fire. Greece is on fire. Canada's on fire. In fact, this town they had to evacuate. I think it was I forget.
That's Kelowna. I was going to move up there, and that's Kelowna, Canada, and they hit another town over in Canada last year. And so this is just burn them out, take over, and the land grab that's going on in Maui we'll talk about tonight, because the land in Lanai was the oldest land in the indigenous people, and they did not give up their land, and so they've had their sovereign rights. This is what this is really all about, and so literally.
Interesting you brought that, because also real quick here in Washington where I'm at, it's on fire. Yep. But
Spokane County there, yes, the same thing, same profiles, and they're doing the evacuation thing. That's the other big thing we're going to talk about tonight, is to evacuate or not, to listen. The police are not your friend. And as we'll talk about the Paradise fires and the Hawaii Maui fires, there was no sound alarms, there was no alerts.
Yeah.
And the same profiles I covered when I went up over 20 times to Paradise is the same profiles I'm seeing in Hawaii. And yes, they're burning up Washington, Oregon, and California as part of their much, much bigger agenda. And, there's spirituality to this all as well.
Right. And that's what I was going to mention. So in addition to what you'll talk about in Paradise, because my background in jewelry, I knew that was one of the largest gold areas in the world, was throughout that whole area.
How about diamond mines in the United States was in Magalia right next door? How about all the copper mines in California that have been buried under Lake Shasta and Berryessa and Folsom Lake? All have copper mines. What about the red mercury that ran all the Tartarian empires before, and they're all red on red mercury? And they use magnetism, and they don't. And
I want you to hit all that, but I was just going to finish and let you see that. So, like you said, it had the tribes, and it has this chakra thing, which you'll talk about. But I also found this in my research. This is in Australia. I have some fans from there, like Red Storm and so forth. This happened in Australia. They had a Paradise, which was a gold mining town. And then for some reason it got emptied, and then they did a dam, and it's covered in water now. So whatever, earth thing there is for that tribe also is now taken away.
Well, there's nothing new under the sun. Let's just be real clear. The technology they've had for a very, very long time, Antiquitech is a new term we've learned about, and all these things they've had for a very long time. They didn't use horse and buggy to put up the Notre Dame Cathedral. No. Give me a freaking break. And all these capitals all look the same around the world. Give me a break. Let's stop talking about them and start talking about reality, because we are the revisionist historians. We are the keepers of the new knowledge of what was, of the people that were buried and died. I cover in California here in my book on California, 150 battalions were hired by President Fillmore to come into California in 1946 for the, quote, Mexican-American War. There was one war. It was in Olympali Park in Nevada, California, by militias. And 2 guys, brownskins, were killed. And that was the entire war. And then General Vallejo signed over the Republic of California. And then 3 years later, he became senator in 1850 of California. And he put on 27 counties and papered over all of the native tribes and their languages. And anybody that brought in a brown skin dead got their land and $300 from the U.S. government. 1850. Okay. They eliminated from 4. I'm sorry I get excited, but I grew up in here and I can't get people to listen. So 1848, there was 440,000 native brownskins in the one America, not in Central America, not North America, not South America, one America, brownskins. And they had all this land and they had all this people and they lived in fecundity forever. And that's why the redwood trees here in Mendocino lived for 3,000 years. That's why they found 200-pound gold in the Sierras, because they left nature to be. And their motto was, you only take from nature more than you give back, more than you take.
Mm-hmm.
Try living like that and see how we do. And then future generations, we're going to be here for a while. We're talking about sacredness. And we've lost sacredness big time. And now they're just opening up their guns again. And like you brought up the Tartarians, I got the #1 best-selling book on Tartaria. If I can I share screen? Is that okay? Or do you want to share?
No, go ahead. I was just muting my dogs. I told you they might pop off during the show.
I got it. Oscar's here in the background here, so he might say hi to him too. All right, so let me get to share screen here.
We've got almost 100 people already, so thank you all for being here. This is exciting. If you haven't seen his presentation, I saw it. He was on Jeff Dougherty's show, and his audience is not quite my audience, so I figured I'd run it here and see and pick up some people that didn't see you before. So
you're both spiritual, which is awesome, because we need to get back to spirit, and this is a spiritual war we're in. Until we can talk about spirit, we're not going to talk about anything.
He and I are on the same side. He's just not sure about it yet. And he's the Christian killer, but I'm Jewish, so he can't kill me. So,
You know what? I'm all of it. I'm spiritual. I've studied them all. Yeah. I've gone to bed. I've studied them all. And so these are my books here.
Okay, where are you? Here you go. I got you. All right, go for it. Yes.
All right. So these are my books: One America, One World, Tartarians and Moors. The Brownskins. This is when Pangea, if you ever heard of that. I know we're going to get into the directed energy stuff in a little bit here, but these are my books. They're free on my plaintruth.info. Did you know California was an island up until 1810?
That I did, because again, I do shows with Jen, the Truth Seeker, and I've done some with Shapu and with Steve JMO, if you remember him. And we've covered a lot of these old maps, because that's what we're finding. Lies in history, but a lot of truth in maps, if you can.
Well, it's important. There's 800 maps of California being an island in the Stanford Library. 800. Wow. These 4 islands, Shasta, Lassen, it all makes total sense. Tahoe is the only lake that flows from west to east. I mean, all this makes sense. But my point being is, when we get into directed energy weapons, they're coming back for California and they're torching it. And they named it in the Eagles song.
Yeah.
They called it paradise. And the last words, Don Henley says, kiss it goodbye. Yeah. But in the song, they also hit Malibu the same day as paradise. And the song they went down to Malibu, the rich neon sights. It's in the same song called Last Resort by the Eagles. Now They just hit Lanai, and Lanai's in the Eagles song, Hotel California. Just sail on down to Lanai. So this has all been predetermined for a long, long time.
And the story originally of the Eagles supposedly was they were the backup singers for Linda Ronstadt, and she said you should do your own show. But the actual story is they were created by most likely the CIA at that area in California, where they also did Jim Morrison and all those other, handlers, as I like to call them. And so
Tavistock Institute. Excuse me. Tavistock Institute.
Exactly.
1963, the Tavistock wrote all the Beatles albums. You don't come up on any music that you've ever heard of unless they want you to.
Right.
The ownership of the music and the programming and the subliminal messaging, they call it TV programming,
Can I
It's
throw
just,
something at you? This is
absolutely.
the thought that I had. So when you have the album, you actually don't know who's singing and playing the instruments. So it could be completely not the people you think. And the way I can prove this is The Monkees was a TV show, right? It was
Yeah.
made about the Beatles, and they hired actors that the story goes they couldn't play or any musical instruments, but yet they sold tons of albums. I had it as a kid, and so we don't know who was playing on the thing. And when they were on TV, they were faking it. So now they go on tour. Well, we know on tour they just play fake music because they even admit it.
Before the Monkees, the guys that were running it tried this other band and it didn't work out, and they had to put it in. And Mike Nesmith was the only guy that knew how to play music. No, this is
there's a chance that it was such a fakery that, like you say, the Beatles. I love the Beatles, but I don't know who's singing on these albums anymore. And when they were live, well, first of all, when they were live in the '60s, the people were screaming you couldn't hear them anyways, so it didn't matter if they could play.
But the Tavistock Institute wrote all their songs, and to give you an example, give you an example, Richard. So in 1963, they came out with, and this we're going to go spiritual here, if it's okay with you.
Oh, go for it.
So they came out with Keds and Nike rubber shoes, and we got weather, and we stopped grounding to Earth's connection.
I've talked about this. I love this.
Yeah. So that was in 1963. And that was disconnecting us from Earth consciousness as they step by step, the fallen angels, Satan's angel, better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. 1847 to 1848 to 1876, they came down here and incarnated. And they've been running the show ever since. They started with, and then they put the Jews in front to be the poster child for the people really behind it, the men in black. And so this has been going on, like I said, for a very long time. But the Beatles were owned by the Tavistock Institute. They killed off Paul McCartney to show everybody you better pay attention to what we're doing. That's why every band has somebody die in them. You better be paying attention to us, boy. Right? You don't try to let it go to your head. Just like all the actresses, the word, Hollywood means a magic stick, druids, control. And we're stuck on our devices. We're a prisoner of our own devices. Again,
and we beg for them, right?
Hotel California. What's the song say? We're just prisoners here of our own device. You can check in, but you can't check out because the 15-minute cities are coming and they're taking over the lands to reclaim it as they wish.
And these are the devices. This is the Prince of the Airways, and yet we can't do without them. I'd love to be without it, but you can't do without them right now in this world.
So so this the systems, the energies, all these things. And if you get into the Tartarians and the brownskins that were here, and the whites and the giants that were here, only 120, 30 years ago. Look up foundling trains. Look up 250,000 children in 1910 to 1918 were in a children's asylums. And the ICE had so many to give away and send to the Midwest to build out the Midwest to the farmlands, to the farmers and all the perverts that could take advantage of them. They had lazy Susans that they stuck about, and the Catholic Church was running it all. I'm sorry,
and they would sell them at the World's Fair too. I covered that.
There you go. Yeah, and they had and all that stuff. So geoengineering, they've been doing it for a very long time. I've got 100 years worth of patents. Hats off to Michael Murphy. We just found a third of his movies. You can see my screen, right? Okay, and so Michael Murphy, he was ran out by a bad guy, and I was all part of that. And we just found his third movie he made, informing us about the controlling of the weather. And again, it's not a country, folks. It's a corporation. USA Corporation, Mexico Corporation, Asia Corporation. It's all legal. You can't impeach a president unless you go to court. It's all legal, and we're under Roman Latin law since the 1620s. In speaking English, because we're conquered by England, and our colonized minds think we're having Roman Latin law. We got to stop thinking country. This is a world war. This is my new book called World War Dude. I mean, they're using, and now, I'm actually, it's actually in a karmic way starting to happen. All the things that we the Euro whites, you have a name Mexican American, you have a name Asian American, you have a name, but you don't have a name for Euro Americans. Why? Because we're the ones that come over and kicked out all the other brownskins and took over all their lands and technology and took over their children. I mean, it's perverse, the number of asylums across the U.S. So these are chemtrails, they're called contrails. And you got pundits that are shills that are talking about heat domes and stuff. I mean, give me a break. They did it back in Vietnam and all this kind of thing. So when we talk about directed energy weapons, folks, and you see these pictures, don't think for a moment the technology isn't anything but sophisticated and known.
Mm-hmm.
The crop circle's all made by using a filter and then zapping whatever little thing they want to zap. You take a laser pen and you shoot it. I get it at 7-Eleven for $3, and you shoot it up in the pilots. You get in trouble with the FAA. $3. So they're sophisticated. These are double images. This is a trippy one.
There was one they just showed. I think I forget. It was in Peru, and a bunch of people with green lasers. The cops had a drone, and they brought it down because they were all firing at it. And it's
well,
like
we're not going to go there tonight, but 666 is the blue Hertz, and a lot of blue things in Lahaina didn't get burned. So there's a whole thing going on about blue being a non. It's green, it's red, it's yellow, but blue is not. And the Hertz in the blue is 666.
And I really wanted to have you on because there was a lot of people in the different communities, truth communities, whatever, they were sharing a lot of laser shots. And I proved at least one of them was actually SpaceX shooting up. So people are not using their discernment and they're just sharing everything without looking into it. And you really have to research each photo and so forth, see where it comes from. So.
And we got to be careful, you and I being in the truth movement as long as we have, because people are just waking up and they're sucking on a big, huge freaking fire hose.
Correct.
You and I have entreed into this and been studying it for a long time, but others that are just starting, we got to welcome them with support.
And here, you get one of these.
That's very true.
I have drops, so they might.
You know what? This is what I get.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
I got my bullshit button.
I like it. That one's great too. This is my bullshit meter.
Bullshit.
So Paradise Lost is the book I wrote. I went up to Paradise about 20 times as a Wall Street analyst for 20 years, investment banking. I can get into back research, and was started on October 7th, 2017, when I was staying down in Santa Rosa, about an hour and a half from my home here. We got hit. No evacuation, no notice, no sirens. We went to the coast, and this selective fire only took out areas that were prone for environmental redistribution. And then the fire embers jumped 6-lane freeways, just the embers, and towards, as I'll show you, 100,000-foot Kmarts, but didn't touch the trees. So again, this book on Paradise Lost, and then when I saw what happened just in Lanai, the parallels we're going to go over, because once you see the parallels, it's just beyond obvious. Okay. So if you have any questions, I'm not looking at the chat room. If you could check that.
Absolutely. Anybody in the chat has a question, fire it up and I'll look.
And also, Melanie, if you could put my email, if anybody wants to book a discount of my book hardcover, because I encourage people to please YouTube start more censorship. Google just signed on United Nations and to censor all news as they see fit. So doing this isn't going to last too much longer. So this was another plant, because I'm a book author, and this came out 2 days after Lahaina got hit. And what they're doing is written by ChatGPT. So now everything's falsified. Nothing's true. So now we have to have fact checkers, truth checkers, and everything, because we don't know what's true or not, and we're going to tell you what's true. So this is getting rid of books. So please, folks, get books now while you can. And also notice on Amazon, in the books, they have points on them now. And that wasn't there 6-8 months ago. And the point system is going to be, you're going to have to use your universal basic income to use this many points. And if the book's a lot of high points, you're not going to buy it, but you can just know it's out there. I mean, they're going to.
You know what? When we were growing up, of course, they had certain books they made us read. One was Fahrenheit 451, which I enjoyed. And that was about burning the books. Well, it's happening right now. Only it's just like you said, everything's going digital, and it's so easy to change a book or history or whatever digitally. You can do it in seconds, and nobody's buying books anymore. There's a whole generation now. They don't like stuff. They don't like carting stuff around, and they don't want to hold on to that book. They'll get it in their Kindle, and they'll have 1,000 books, and it can be edited like that, and they never know.
We're living to tell about this. It's very important to preserve knowledge right now, because all the things that they're changing now, the new generation of tappers on a screen, that's their truth, you know, and they're being dictated by these devices, by these two-way programmable devices. If you look up the patents on mind control on these devices, I mean, they've got them by all the games and stuff. They can't, you can't get kids to work anymore. And the parents started to blame for it and I'm to blame for it. And that's how I got out of Wall Street, because I saw the greed. I saw the 1%. I was at 10%. I saw it was going to 1%. They told me that they were going to take over everything and everybody was going to be stuck on their devices and the electronic world is going to be owned by just a few and nobody's going to have any freedoms because it's going to be constant surveillance. And I was told that in probably 89, 90. And so they play these things out of a very long term. And this is a takeover of all humanity. The whole COVID, which probably will be erased, and everybody will say, what are you talking about down the road? Because it's not on the internet. That didn't happen. Okay. And I know you don't want to talk vaccines, but that was COVID. Ovid means sheep in Hebrew. Did you know that?
No, that one I hadn't.
So literally, COVID means see the sheep.
Perfect. Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I don't know who Deborah Tavares is, but they're asking about her. Have you heard from her? Is she all right?
Yeah, I just saved her dog's life. She's doing fine. She's just Deborah, and she's getting it out there again. She's on stopthecrime.net. Weapons. You watch the laser come in. And all right, so Deborah. I talked to her 2-3 times the past few days. She's doing fine.
Okay. That's the only question I thought.
Got more piss and vinegar than everybody I've ever known together.
I mean, even more than malicious, huh? Okay.
Yeah, well, let's not go there. But this is to show you, and this is what I found, and this is what I feel like I'm an archivist and collector of record. And the thing that, if you get into spiritual Rudolf Steiner's work, he said in this generation we're become super sensible. So we're leaving our physical senses to go to the intellectual, inspiration, intuition, wisdom, and creativity. And this is the dawning of the light, and it's cold, and you can see all the darkness going, holy cow, it's not growing food yet, it's not the middle of the day, you haven't seen the sunset. We're just at the very, very beginning of this change, and we're the knowledge keepers, and we're the ones that are discoverers of the truth, and that's why they're coming after us. So I found this video, which is very, very good, and I sent this all these, I go to all the, many fire stations and go to talk to the fire captains and give them my book, trying to tell them, do you know what you're getting into? And they don't. So this is a good video to show how fast Lahaina went up. All right.
Okay.
And, I don't think we need volume. So again, lasers of frequency. It has to be in these big old planes. When the Santa Rosa one hit, look at right in the middle, look at the middle of the screen and see the laser come in.
Oh yeah.
Watch how fast it explodes.
Wow.
That's why people in the cars were sitting on Front Street in Lahaina saying, oh yeah, look down there, and that's flame just like that.
Wow.
It's targeted destruction, precision. Hey, how about laser eye surgery? How precision is that? Come on, folks, let's talk our game a little bit about what technology has. In the United States Air Force has a document called Owning the Weather by 2025. So
yeah, I've covered some of their patents that they have on that. And then also I've covered that plane, but like you say, that's just what they're showing us. This capability is coming from something else, maybe, or drone.
Watch this explode now. Now, I don't know if it burns to the end, but that's all that burns. See, the other part doesn't burn.
Yeah. For such an explosion.
Well, it's targeted because the frequency they use excites the molecules at a certain frequency, using sound vibration, to resonate the different frequencies. And so they have people. The thing I tell people all the time is people don't know about broadband. We see how things work, and we travel 60 miles an hour and talk to somebody 60 miles an hour. We're talking fine. How does that work? And you got millions of them doing that. You got billions of them doing that. And everybody's doing that at the same time. Then you got the internet connect. I mean, it's all in the air, and the satellites don't exist. So, I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, in fact,
you get to learn all this stuff.
If you haven't seen my channel, that's how I got into this. Is I started researching satellites because I found out all their only cartoons we can find. There was no actual photos. And then I got
a hologram that flies over the sky to show you, the Project Blue.
Yeah.
They got a hologram that show. I used to go out and say there because I live out in the country and I can see everything. And I'd have parties and we watch it. And then now I realized it was a hologram. I mean, the technology is more.
What I found is when I was looking up these programs, I looked into the Mariner programs because they were the ones that were heading to Mars. And Mariners 7, 8, 9, they all look like ceiling fans. That's where I got my logo from. You can see it on when I stop my camera. Oh, wait, well, it's behind me. but it was, and supposedly that ceiling fan was touring around Mars, and so that's how I ended up with.
That's where the name comes. That's where the name
Yeah,
comes from.
yeah. I have a lot of people think I can repair Hunter Douglases, but I can't.
No, it's unique. It gets your attention. It's up. It makes you look up. I love all about it. Its motion. But here we see surgical precision, just like we saw. This is the only area that got zapped. What is it? 7 islands on Hawaii. And Larry Ellison's island didn't get touched. Oh, Big Island didn't get touched. Oh,
Yeah, their stuff never gets messed with.
And all of a sudden, and the story is such BS, and nobody is on TV. A meteorologist. What do they study? Weather meteorologists, and they tell you what to think. And so the story goes, official, is that 800 miles away, Hurricane Dora had a pressure front that caused only Category 1 winds that came over the mountains and dropped down to Lahaina and just torched this area like surgery. And then everybody got flushed. They wouldn't let them leave at this end, and they wouldn't let them leave at this end. Very easy to block off. You can't go over the mountain. There's only 2 exits. They had them all blocked off. They ran onto Front Street. They got stuck in there, and they had to jump in the water. Bodies floating, like 180 bodies were said to wash up on Lanai and stuff. And you had boats on fire in the water, flipped upside down and stuff. You had charred over hundreds and hundreds of cars, and people saying, yeah, we couldn't get out. The police were keeping us from leaving. The guy on the alert system. I mean, the stories are and they're letting it get out now. That's the thing, Richard. It's not like they're shutting me down for talking to them this stuff.
No. And I saw a guy that they were making you get an orange card if you wanted to leave the area or come back in. So they're very selective of who can actually go there.
They wouldn't allow food to be brought in unless you had a commercial license. They put a dust shield. The guy, what's his face? They put a dust shield around Lahaina because too many people gaggled geese were trying to take pictures and coming over to chronicle everything, with their camera.
Doesn't it sound very similar what they did to the poor people in Puerto Rico, where they had a disaster and then all the stuff that was sent to them wasn't reaching the people that needed it?
Look at Panama. I mean, there's so many examples of all this that's been going on everybody else knows about it. Now it's happening to us. Wake up. It's our turn in the barrel, and they're coming for the one America that has always been their goal, in California specifically, is part of their repurposing. And since everybody can become artificial and controlled, it's just about what they want to do. And we have Bohemian Grove out here. We have Paradise they just torched to get their lands back. They just do it when they're ready. They have the control of the money system. Mm-hmm. They have control of the political system. I mean, let's stop. And it's a world thing, folks. Let's not stop. Everybody that's listening, if you're around the world, this is the first time we've been around the world together that we all share experiences. So there's a very positive side of this too in the dawn rising, but it's very painful and hurtful to see how much ugliness is out there. So let's just finish the story. The absurdity of it all is that the Lahaina spread at a rate of 1 mile every minute, 60 miles an hour, right? You know how fast?
Did you say that they heard it or saw it 200 miles out?
I don't know. I just look at the statistics. I just look, the Maui Blaze was 85% contained by night. So here you got a 60 mile an hour fire that comes from nowhere that only hits this one. I mean, give me a break. And then I went down to Katrina and I took $10,000 donated money from my websites. And I flew down to Houston 2-3 weeks after. And everybody to a person said, please tell everybody that was no hurricane. They downgraded it right before. Everybody stayed at home and they opened up the gates and they got 28 inches of rain or something like that. And there were bodies floating, and the white guys in the white government came in there and started shooting bodies. And the guys went in to save people from Louisiana. Show me, baby. I just republished on my YouTube channel. And they've done. There's so much about preparation for just taking people's rights away in every part we're looking at, and freedoms to choose. So we all got to come together now about common purpose, but first we have to understand what we're up against. So Hurricane Katrina, I went down there, and people said, no, we were herded up. We were fine after the first one came and we got to move back in. It was when they opened the dams and flooded us out again. That was the real reason. The Red Cross took in hundreds of millions of dollars. They only give out 9% of what they donations.
Yeah.
It's a scam. Corporations, nonprofits. As long as they're not taking, it's so BS everything. And it's
one of the first ones I heard about and uncovered or whatever was the guy U2, his charity. He takes 98 cents on the dollar. Like, it's like, it's so ridiculous on how much they take, and they're not charitable things. It's sad.
Dane Wigington is a very big name in the geoengineering movement of engineered weather, truth or not. And I met him back in 2005. And I actually bought land from him and was friends until I realized this guy isn't really who he is. And he turns out to be just one of them, and one on the other side that gets a lot of play and gets a lot of people. He just had an interview with Robert Kennedy. He has no background whatsoever. He was on a cover of a solar magazine for his house, and he was a subcontractor for Bechtel down in South SoCal, and that's it. And then he says, because I started calling BS when we got hit in Santa Rosa, and I saw blue beams coming out the sky. And on that morning of October 7th, 2018, the next day, I called my buddy, who was an analyst and still on Wall Street, and he can't tell me stuff, but we play a game called Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And if I'm right, he won't answer me. If I'm wrong, he'll tell me I'm wrong. So I call him up and I said, hey, did we just get hit last night by a TR-3B? And he says, no, it wasn't a TR-3B. And I said, yeah, but we got hit by a laser. It looks like something that come in one of their products being used. And he didn't say anything. And I said, is it another defense contractor? And he goes, no, it's not another defense contractor. And then I go, what is it? What hit us? What did it? And he goes, what did you get your son for Christmas last year? And I said, I got him a drone. Oh, a drone. Yes. It was a drone. Silence. Thanks, Bob. See you. And so they've had the technology for a very long time. They're able to do it. And for this pundit to say that you'd have to see it. I mean, if it was happening, we'd see it. And here's all these pictures of it. So, the credibility of this person is to be known as someone that's counter to control your conversations and about the weather, which is super important. Now, here's where our blood should boil in so many freaking ways. And the same thing happened after Paradise. They mock us, they mock us, they mock us.
And I covered this. If you look on there, it also has your trip sixes. You see it, 6-pack, and then 16 9 ounces. You got trip sixes on there.
Yep, and that's perfect. Good, because I want to show you the one on the other one when I get up there. But this was the same kind of stuff they had. So again, the takeover plans to be the first U.S. state. Now right. This is August.
How many years ago, right? This is a while back.
Yeah, 2018. Okay. So, they state their plan, and this is really hard for most people to understand that live in the moment when everything's short-term and your melatonin is not being created. You can't think in long, big pieces. And this is how they get everybody, because everybody's just worried about today. Here's your laser pen you can buy anywhere. So the technology is there. So this whole area just got zapped. And I got a new book coming out. And I've got on my YouTube channel how a wide first state. This is just proving weapons market size 2023 directed energy weapons. It says up there, and so these are all chronicling, and this is part of my book cover here. But here's Front Street down here, and also I used to have lunch when I was working on Wall Street up at the Top of the World restaurant. And that came down in 10.3 seconds. If you throw a baseball off the top, 10.3 seconds. This thing, 10.3. Steel reinforced all down the middle, elevator supports all through here, impenetrable to anything, never could come down, but they tested it 4 years before with the blast underneath in the basements, and then they came and took it down with the directed energy weapons. Goodbye. So here they came, and they got everybody down in their cars, children, whatever. They had to jump in the seawalls into the ocean, and they just zapped the cars at will. In precision, and they use LiDAR, which is they can see through stuff. They can see through it. Now, do you know about Hurricane Dora?
Hurricane Dora? Yeah.
That just came through. The one that was supposed to pummel everything, but nothing really happened. It was just, that was putting synthetic biology onto all the food plants to keep things from growing. This is a whole other subject. But here, what the owner of the house here is, this red house that didn't get hit?
Who is that?
Dora Milliken.
They write these ridiculous scripts. You saw Hillary went through California. That was hilarious. And then that was the one that they made everyone so, fear. and nothing happened. It was just a rainstorm like I've lived through 1,000 times in California. But also they created a new word because they also had an earthquake. So now there's a hurricane. They just create new words. It's ridiculous.
All right. So and look at this upper picture, and how many people do you think are in those houses there?
Wow.
How many people do you think just died right there?
Yeah, if you had no way out, because there isn't any. There's just that one road.
Well, just people were staying at home because they saw it out in distance. It wasn't really there, and then all of a sudden it was there. That's why they can use underground lighting. That's a whole other subject in itself. But here's another hotel where they're still booking and stuff. And look at the palm trees up to here. Zap, zap, zap. If anybody knows Lahaina, and out here on the North Shore. But look at the whole harbor.
So the boats are burning, but the trees in that one hotel doesn't, and everyone's fine with that.
No, nobody is in their mind enough to go and do their own research right now. That's why we're presenting this to them. I tried to do it after Paradise, and I started to see more and more as evidence kept doing it in other places, like up in Oregon, and people started recognizing. Just like geoengineering. Nobody knew about geoengineering, and then all of a sudden everybody knows about it.
And I don't remember the numbers, but I know that asphalt melts at a much lower temperature than aluminum, and how all this metal melts and the asphalt's fine. It's another tale.
Richard, that is such a freaking great, awesome point to keep hammering. Asphalt melts at 70 to 110 degrees. It takes tempered glass that are in the cars 2,500 degrees to melt. Steel rims, 2,500 degrees. Hottest forest fire is only 1,500, 1,600 degrees. I mean, give me a break. Let's use I went in there. I'm sorry to report, when I went in Paradise, and I saw bones in skull in the springboards at the bottom of those cars. I didn't have my heart to look in the school bus. I mean, and look at the bike right here too. No, they were tortured, and everybody was stuck. They couldn't get out by design. And then how does a boat catch on fire?
In the water.
And they say it's the ashes that flew out there, and then that created there was no warning signs. Nobody said anything, And if you've been to Hawaii, you know some of these views here, what used to be there. So here's the BS that it goes over the mountain, Mauna Kea, I think, and then comes down, and at category 70 miles an hour, and boom, it combust. And the story was, well, at 6:43 in the morning, there was already a fire. They put it out. They got a bulldozer, shrouded it, went back, and then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, it exploded, and all Lanai burned down. From a hurricane 800 miles away, Hurricane Dora, that had that had no profile whatsoever, was forecast not to even come close.
And I have a question. So it's out there 800 miles, no warning whatsoever, yet they scare them with a fake nuclear drop one time, but no warning for this. And is this the first hurricane that's hit the Hawaiian Islands that didn't bring, say, a tsunami or some kind of weather of water with it? It was just dry?
In my opinion, watching this weather as long as I have and writing 2 books on geoengineering, this is the most absurd of it all. They don't care anymore. Watch the movie Idiocracy. They really don't care anymore what they put out there. But I collect this stuff. See Hurricane Dora? Here's Hawaii. Okay, we're gonna hit right. No, there. Okay, that no, that's it. No, not that. This. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
And here it is. Here it is, a dry hurricane. You ever heard of a freaking dry hurricane before?
No, that's what.
The absurdity of the whole story is to make it that the next generation is going to look at this like, oh, okay. They're preparing the idiots that look at the boxes and just take whatever they see. I'm sorry, but they're not doing their homework.
And I haven't verified it, but according to Allie, the owner of the house was the CEO of a financial investment firm in Boston. So that would make sense.
It's bigger than that. And you can talk about all the celebrities owning properties, yes or no, and whatever. But
was that Ellington? He owned a ton of things that didn't get burned. Was it Malibu or something? I remember.
Yeah. Look at the rainbow, and then look at how many people in these houses, and look at no more houses. I mean, this is what we got to understand. There's murder, and there's bodies, and they don't do body counts, and they're in the ashes. The guy says, yeah, you're walking on their ashes. Go ahead and get the DNA. And this is how they collect the DNA of all the families. Wow. This is the same thing they did up in Paradise, so they can get your DNA, because they're going to own your ass. And here again is Front Street. Okay, these are the 3 fires. Okay, and only hit Maui right there, but it took out Lahaina.
And didn't they all start at the same time?
Within a couple hours, yeah. So this is the Green Deal. This is the whole green piece. This is the whole taking the green into their whole way of the World Economic Forum of a new Green Deal. And this is their little poster child, Cornelia Ng, who says, we need legislation to, they're just changing all the rules. They're taking all the lands. No permits are going to be allowed. They already declared that. They got a dust zone around it. They're using technology. They announced it. And look at this. I'm gonna burn, burn, burn to a hellraiser fire. Not you, cause you're over here. And you're over jumping over. Jump. Okay, burn here, and just not the field here. And then we're gonna go. No.
Yeah.
No. Okay, stop right there. Okay, yes, okay, bye, thank you. And then over here, same BS in that quad and angle there. And there's the church.
So what I'm seeing from this is they just have precision technology to do this. It doesn't matter what color. A lot of people are caught up in the blue and all that, but it doesn't matter. They'll torch whatever they can hit with this. It looks like
the technology is beyond what most people can't even begin to understand.
Yeah,
they can go up through the ground and torch any house, and that's why they can burn 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, and they incinerate it.
And see, that's the stuff that I talk about on my channel and also on Jen's channel. We talk about how things look like structures are melted from the past, that from the bottom and the top possibly at the same time. And since we're all sort of on an electrical grid with the Antiquitech, I think it was easy to do, because when you look at the photos from the stories like Frisco burning down or Seattle burning, all these different, giant fires we had, and the buildings, the same thing, are just right to dust. Right.
You want Richard, you want to play this?
Well, you can't play it, but you can talk about it.
Can you hear this?
Yeah, but we have to stop playing that for a second. So,
and we're trying to stop it.
I'll remove it for a second.
Sorry. And if you did a little research and you looked your own way, 2007, you could discover the Air Armament 2020. Can you see that or not?
Yeah, go ahead.
San Francisco Pacific Expo rebuild. I forgot about this one. Fires. You can see here the 100,000-foot Kmart. Yeah, so I go through this. Now runs his own. And this is again, let's speak spiritual, because this is things that matter. And what is happening now by the powers that be, that you'll never know and not ever going to know about, because that's the way they have it. This book, John Milton, Paradise Lost, that's their playbook. And John Milton died on November 8th, 1686 or 8. And November 8th is when they hit paradise. Wow. And it goes through the whole prophecy of the fallen angels, better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. And they want to reap everybody's souls now. And they're reclaiming the lands of what is rightfully theirs, because they're the rulers. And that's why you have the men in black. They only went to paradise. Let me see, Governor Jerry Brown, Jesuit minister. Trump, Jesuit school. Gavin Newsom, Jesuit, Santa Clara. And they love to play the games. This guy, James Lee Witt, FEMA director, they bring in here, and he comes in and he says at least 66 people in California, with 600 people reported missing, 666.
Yeah, they always love the number.
No, it's just mockery. And then down here in the lower right, coincidence, they got the Mountain Dews. This was all blackout, code red, live wire. This is what I covered, resilience. This is what I covered in the Paradise Fires. This is the Mountain Dews they had back then, back in 2018. Now as we're saying, oh, look at the Mountain Dew. No, look at back then. And then over here, this is the mall in Paradise with 50 caliber sniper Cal Fire truck during the event, during the Paradise event in October.
Can you make that any larger? It's hard to see that.
I think I have it down the road here in a minute, but
that's okay.
Just to finish the story on here, is we chronicled and proved in the Paradise that FEMA was there with their camps by the airport and before the event. And they had PG&E, the local power, California Power, had taken over half the golf course right at the bottom of Paradise. This is very well planned. So this is on a video I have. And again, the technology is something that it's so beyond most people's ability. But it doesn't mean they don't have it. And then here it's talking about the directed energy, 25 billion, it's not, if they put that, they can get whatever money they want. And so this is another important one right here, Richard. proven technology of lasers or same mythology of whatever they're using. If you look at 9/11 and you look at California, it's the same profile of cars. And we're seeing that in every profile of every place. It's the same technology as the proof, all the way back to 9/11. It's just, they've had it for so long, but they're just using it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have a, and they use it for a tool and a purpose. And if it's now our time to take us off. So Burning Man, Burning Down the House, all these songs, Ring of Fire. I mean, that's how long they've programmed the music industry for what's happening.
Right.
Well, and the point being that I'm saying is that if on the spiritual side, the people I've called out ever since, I don't know, over a decade now, is the Jesuits, the Knights Templars, the Vatican, the first Jesuit priest in the Vatican, Pope Francis. You know, how did they flip over 3,000 pound cars in Santa Rosa? This was right down the road from me. You know, and so the Men in Black, and if you go back to the whole founder of Loyola in the 1500s, his whole saying is, I'll bring up here in a minute if I can find it, is set the world on fire. So they've been planning to burn us out as part of the prophecy for a very long time. But one thing that's really important for everybody to understand is why they picked Lanai. And I don't know if you're a Brian Forrester fan, but he's a brilliant world bringing old truths back to stories about ancient monuments and structures that we can't figure out today. But this is the Mu people, the Lumerian, I write about in my book. They were thought to have been a very peaceful race, highly evolved in the fields of agriculture, astronomy, fishing, navigation, and the fine arts, amongst other disciplines. They had no kings, no great warlords, no great armies, and no system of laws. As such, the conquering Tahitians considered these people as weak and undisciplined. The Mu people has intelligence, practicality, and spirituality. The stories which arose concerning feats that were accomplished over the course of the night as the building of a temple was because in reality, the Tahitian overlords demanded that the Mu people, under slavery conditions, complete an undertaking within a very narrow time. And if it wasn't completed, all would be slaughtered. So that's the white guy's story again. I mean, and Lemuria was back in the time right before Atlantis, there was Lemuria. So we've had these water events, not just one. And as you were speaking to the chakras, there's the chakra in Maui is the heart chakra. And in Mount Shasta is the root chakra. So that got hit as well. But this is the crown chakra is in Tibet. And again,
it's just devastating. Look at that. It's horrific.
Have you been there? Have you been to Lanai?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
I ate in that restaurant right there. Son, I got to tell you a story. I used to eat where you see how the tree is? Yeah, I used to eat there. You know, I mean, this is what's going to happen. They're going to not let anybody permit it, and this is gone.
Well, somebody asked if anyone's going back to paradise, and no, I think they land grabbed that, and no one's back in there. It's too unstable or something, and they just took it, didn't they? I don't think anyone's gone back.
Well, let's get real and let's be honest. And I went in 2007 and flew when my son was 2 years old back to Atlanta, Georgia, and got in a car and drove 2.5 hours north to Emberton County to the Georgia Guidestones. Mm-hmm. And I said, no way. I got to see for myself. And there's 20-foot monoliths on this land. And I went to the quarry. I went and talked to the etchers. And there was a guy, R.C. Christian, who came in and spent tens of millions of dollars and put in 8 different languages, the 10 Commandments, on this point near Atlanta, and where the CDC is, right? And they've said that the first commandment is keep the population below 500 million people. 8 different languages they put it in. Now, everybody look up Georgia Guidestones. They're not playing games. They put it up in 1980, and they just blew it up 2 months ago.
Right.
You know, so let's really be, you know, on our toes all the time now, always, because things are happening faster. And when I was in Wall Street, I'd be buying up stocks right now if I knew how, you know. But in the other realm, it's just like things can change very quickly. And
it's like what they call the quickening. We're noticing that everything exponentially is speeding up. on all this. Yeah.
Well, and also the destruction and the absurdity of it all. And this is from down in Whiskey Town at Lake Shasta. And here these boats are fried, and there's people in boats on being fried. They're doing the same stuff, over and over again. And that's what my chronicling is about, is proving the same type of it. And here's House Dora. So this, and again, Richard, it's important to keep the story about what they're saying. So when we tell people this is the story, so we know what they're telling us. It was located 565 miles southeast of Hilo, 1,195 miles east-southwest of Johnston Island. It was coming from below Japan, 23 miles an hour. Say what, motherfucker? No, maximum sustained in winds of 130 higher gusts. So, and then it's 600 miles away. So what? And it wasn't forecast at all. And then all of a sudden it's there. Outward 30 miles, Doris Center, tropical storm force winds, outward 115 miles. Well, but they were 565 miles away, and this thing got pushed out 115 miles. So it didn't even get there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is murder, folks. I'm sorry. This is genocide. It's Hawaii, and this is the land I've been to many times and loved dearly. And it's just, now it's home in paradise. I went up there and just saw it. I'm not, my head's up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So again, I've got the story preserved. So we keep it.
And I heard someone, because they're discussing, there's a lot of people that are haven't been found, and if an entire family got wiped out in their house, there's no one to say they're gone. You know what I mean? I would imagine, because a lot of homes now are multi-generational, especially, in those cultures, I would think. So
I founded a recovery for people that got out, and they don't do body counts or whatever. They closed it off for a month militarily. They had cars that they had different X's on, orange, where they said how many bodies were in there and stuff. I went through it all as soon as you get in there. But this is mockery again. The Mountain Dew. We think you were talking about your favorite one. Code Red, Revolution, Voltage, Supernova, Resilience. This is Sierra Nevada. Butte County, Pitch Black, Live Wire. It's mockery. And then how many military bases could come to any of the people that hadn't been doing it in Lanai? Where's all the people that are trying to get them out of there and taking them to places and put on, wherever? Why aren't they being assisted? And the sirens didn't go off. The people didn't. They were kept in. That was just to keep people and not let them get out. And you see in catamarans bringing food to the people from other islands. It's the only way they're getting stuff. This is just letting them die that are there, not letting them out. And they're trying to publish, but you don't know if their sites are down or if they can or not. And there's a lot of fakery in the postings too, so you got to be careful. Yeah. So Red Cross, as I said, they're double cross. FEMA's not helping. This is the same stuff I saw in Hurricane Harvey when I went there. So please don't give them anything, and just know that's the other side, okay? So one-on-one relationship, whatever you can do to help is the best way. Oh, so here's my St. Ignatius, founder of the Jesuits. Go set the world on fire. So, technology is at their grasp, at their AI, and of course they are. And many of you may know about Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who wrote a bunch of books. But someday, after mastering the winds, geoengineering, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And then for a second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. So in love, they're doing this to start over because they're doing it for their supreme being, that's the satanic force. So you like my new cover?
Yeah, that's the new cover. Nice.
You're the first one. You're the first one to see it. I just fixed it.
Wow. Oh, we have. Oh, here I have something for that. Where is he? Let's see. I can't find it in time. That's the problem I have. Oh, here he is. Breaking news with Ceiling Fan Man. Take it away, Ceiling Fan Man. Thank you. Here's Jamie Lee's new cover.
Yeah, let's just launch. No, it's still in its working stage, but this would be book 15. And I did do a book on paradise, so I'm just tying that in with Mountain Dew. There you go, right there, and trying to bring to people's fact that there's technology and they have a signature. They burn the signs in their places, as I have records of. And again, the profiles and all their motto, why, with a who's doing it, the who, the why. But give me a break.
And interesting because see, what I do for oops, wrong button here. What I do on my channel is I do have a spiritual aspect to my channel, and I find a lot of information in the biblical text, and so that's mostly what I discuss. And it's interesting because there's a comment here, Red Storm, good eye, hurt not the green things. And what I believe is that we've seen like what you call the Tartarian buildings, because Tartarus was the name of a place in Shale and hell. And I believe that name was glommed onto these buildings that maybe if, let's say, we went through the original revelation where Jesus comes back and burns everything with fire, and that's why we see these melted buildings throughout history. And then he comes and he does the millennial reign, where we have like maybe some of these incredible buildings made that we don't understand. And then after that, we're in the short season. And so to me, the short season of Satan would be Satan's going to mimic everything he saw God do, because he can't create, he can only mimic. And so in 1776, I believe they plant the Statue of Liberty, which really is a statue of Lucifer. And his foot is breaking away from the chain, just like it's written in the Bible. And anyways, throughout Revelation, he hurt not the green things like the plants and stuff. And so I believe Satan, if he's mimicking this with technology instead of God wrath, he's burning up things in the same kind of idea and leaving the trees and stuff as a mockery, and also to let us know what's happening, even if you don't want to admit it. What do you think of any of that? That's resonate.
You want to know it takes Nancy Pelosi how long it takes her to Washington, D.C. to get back to the Bay Area? 2.25 hours underground. There's a world underground that nobody knows about. There's a whole world going on down there that nobody talks. See, they keep their hands close to their vest, but you do an investigation, there's a whole nother layers on layers on layers. I mean, we're here to learn our lessons and to be the light keepers. We're here no matter what your religious belief is, to shine light into this darkness. And here, look at this right here. We are the truth seekers. We are the ones that are shining. And if you want to Mount Golgotha, that's the skull that the cross came down at. We're here to learn, and what was Jesus's last act before he was crucified? He took the feet of the apostles and he healed them with energy. That's why they lived so long. He was energetic healing. And I do that for my life now, all the time now, helping people energetically. So we're learning all this stuff, but it's on the darkness. There's also some beautiful light. Mm-hmm. And what we see with FEMA, and I saw again in Paradise and Chronicled, with over 90 videos in Paradise. Again, emergency officials were on another island. The guy that ran the alert system had no experience whatsoever. I mean, this is such a big going on. And let me just go through this. Oops.
Yeah, that's the plane. I see it. That's what I've talked about before. That plane.
Let me go. I don't want to edit that. All right, so see, everybody's getting hooked on this thing, and I'm sorry I kind of put it in there because the technology now is drones, and we got to keep up with Moore's law about doubling technology every year, and so they have such advanced tech. They just wait till.
But it's the magician's trick. Maybe they put that out there so you think that's what it is, and they have something else. Look at my right hand, not my left.
Well, and now it's been going on, and nobody's lifted a finger, and nobody said boo, and we haven't done anything about anything. And and I'm proving evidence down here. I was going to show you. This is Cardinal Newman, the Jesuit school down here. Look at the baseball field. Nap, nap, nap. I mean, it's just they have fun. This is the Lockheed Martin, a company I used to cover, and here they got a laser from above taking out an engine.
Wow.
This is the Arby's and McDonald's or something leave the gas station. And so I'm just doing these quick profiles for people. They get an idea of what evidence there is to support that. Boom. And everybody has cameras now. See, and this isn't Photoshop, but you can see the progression, and you see the explosion about to take place.
Yeah.
And it can come from underground. Let's not get hooked up on it. It has to come from above us. And it's not like they don't have any money behind it. And and if you know about General LeMay, anybody remember General Bomb 'em to Hell LeMay? He's the one where they were using bombs over Japan during starting World War II and when they invaded Japan. And they weren't getting enough deaths at 8,000 feet or whatever it was dropped at. So he put incendiary devices and dropped them down to 1,000 feet and just burned everybody out of there. And all the homes were built of wood. And General LeMay killed more people than anybody. Yosemite is named after Jim Savage. Look it up. Jim Savage, 33-degree Freemason, he got the name Savage and put it on the Indians because he killed more people in Yosemite during the 150 battalions that came into California to get rid of the brown skins. I mean, everything. Leland Stanford, 33-degree Freemason. He's the guy that's, you go on and on,
I have a question. Because this was something that was big when we were growing up, the spontaneous human combustion. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you think it was all fake or whatever, or do you think they were testing it or something?
You got the stomach for it? I'll show you.
The what?
If you have the stomach for you, I'll show you.
Well, I'd rather not see it. You maybe just tell me.
I got a video of a bird on a wire, innocent bird, and they turned up the frequency on it, and it turned to dustification, which is the same exact profile you see in the houses. That white dust. Nobody explains that, and that's the same profile of the frequency of the bird getting fried, and that's what you don't see the people. They get the bodies are disintegrated at a code where there's nothing left, nothing to see.
And I totally believe that it's all the frequencies, because when you look at the clouds now, even like whatever the regular ones are supposed to be, you can see wavelengths going through them depending on what they're testing, I believe. We have a lot of military around us, and I believe that's what I see a lot.
What is that? See the rays, laser? It's so in our face.
Oh, wow.
This one, let's do this one. What's the company called? PG, and excuse me 1 minute. And E logo. Can you see my screen typing away?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. PG&E. And it looks like a DEW weapon shooting down. That's fantastic.
On the what? The people, mother and child. I mean, this. You go back to the offices in San Francisco, the main office is all symbolic. It's all, they own the energy, and that's why they've got us, is we forgot where things come from. We don't know how to grow things anymore. We don't know what's in our water anymore. We have to get our food from a store. And then we have to use money to do it, and everybody's in massive debt, so they have to keep playing the game. And they control it that way. And then they got the mind control through the screens, and the children even more so now. So we need to say, okay, let's educate as much as we can, share as much as we can, because we're going to be keepers of this truth. And this is the same thing that happened in Crimson Mist. Live to Tell is what a lady wrote about what happened when when World Weather Engineering tried to change the mindsets of two tribes and made them war each other. The Hoots and the Hootsies and I forget the other tribe name. Anyway, so that was weather engineering. The same thing happened remember Occupy movement, anybody?
What, in Seattle, you mean?
What do you mean? October 2011, we had the world taken back. Yeah, there's all these. We got the capitals there. You got capitals in San Rafael. We got one. Santa Rosa. We got one. New Wall Street. We got this. We're taking over Occupy. Remember?
I'm not sure what event you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Well, this is back in 2000. This is why I'm saying that the hook. It was 2011, and I took my son there when he was like 6 years old, and brought people apples in a library, because they held it for about 3 months in Santa Rosa here, this area, Occupy. And so in 2011, there was this big Occupy movement. It was fashioned after the beginning in Egypt. So it was a worldwide uprising, and it started in Egypt. And that's what I'm talking about, and what they went on 60 Minutes after the lead reporter of CBS, the lady Logan or something, she got allegedly harmed sexually by two Egyptian men. And what turned out was really the technology they were using was exciting the men to the point they became so lustful they just went after women because they could. They knew that frequency. No, it's Manchurian. I mean, they just don't use it yet. They can do it on they just don't do it yet. And that's why they got the 5G everywhere, the surveillance everywhere going up everywhere. But here's the rays they're doing it. And when you see the markers, it becomes like, oh wow. This is and so here's another point. Let me just stay on this laser stuff for a little bit. Are we doing okay on time and stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So flip your head up if you can, or over here, but temporary blindness. This is the visible spectrum is minute compared to the invisible spectrum. Yeah. So this is what a laser pointer, can do, distraction with a plane 6,000 feet I was talking about, right?
Right.
You can get at the store for nothing. Here's what the military can do from 1998. I mean, let's talk. They just don't use it yet. And here's all their different weaponries. This is from their actual. See, I can go and look at their actual sites, because I know how to get into the business side of stuff. But again, here's it out there for anybody doing research and stuff. And when I saw it you saw profiles after profiles like this. And I've got a son there, and
look at that.
Yeah. And this is in Colorado. This is in Oregon. I mean, they went up in Seattle. I mean, it's hitting everywhere.
Yeah. And again, the same pictures that I show when we talk about things happening in the 1800s, they look the same as far as everything's just down to the nothing. It's fascinating.
They actually did this supersonic weapon at one of the anti-World Economic Forum meetings in Atlanta or something. And they took the crowd down and they showed how it worked. But that's nobody's going to join anything or start anything or protest anything. It's not going to happen because they own everything, and they're not going to let you. And then here, this is again more surgical. Here's a golf course, right? I mean, what are the chances? What are the odds? So here's the card. Go ahead.
Can you hold on one second? So
Sure.
First of all, Wrights Crispy, he's an auditor. He's fantastic, by the way. And he donated, so thank you very much, Super Chat. But he wrote, please look up and watch The Panama Deception, which is a 90s Academy Award-winning documentary that show how we melted people. And then it says IYKYK. So
absolutely, thank you for bringing that up. And that's a huge, because what was it? They were going after, not Castro, but yeah. So that talks about them using the technology down there. And the first thing they did was zap a bunch of military of their own.
Wow.
Because they didn't want the response to what they were going to do, because they closed off the press. They shut the whole town down. It's about an hour and a 20-minute document. Yeah, but please watch that. That sets the tone for what we've done to others that nobody talks about, because we're with us or against us. So whatever we do, and they take our tax money and fund more BS to kill more brown skins, and we do it. And now it's just worldwide. And the World Economic Forum says we own you all. And make no mistake about it, the oldest land in Lahaina is west facing, and the primest of all the land on that island, even most of the islands, so beautiful there. And they want the beach.
Right.
Zap. Okay, what's on the list next? Okay, zap. Okay, who's next? So again, we're seeing the same profiles where I showed that. And again, zapathon. See the white dustification?
Yeah.
So they can hit what they want, and they use messages for people too. So you can say photoshopped. I don't know. We don't know, but something that can be everything. And then again, here's what I'm talking about: LiDAR, that you could see through instruments collecting data. And
yeah, there you go. This is where I was discussing. You were saying the forest fire is 1,500, but the steel beams are melting. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Explain this, anyone, please. Okay.
Wait. Got one more thing I got to go. Is DJ. Where to go? There's a super chat. He was saying, great show, guys. And for some reason, I can't put it on the screen, DJ. But where is it? Thank you. It's on. Here it is. There. Wow. $50. My goodness. You're a sweetheart. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. I got excited there.
No, if this sets up, if you can see my screen coming up, it's
Yes,
fine.
it's going.
So this is I carpet bombed in Melanie's honor. I put it out. At first, I called him, gave the respect, call me back, please. He didn't call me back. This guy, and I know as much as any professor, whatever, poobah, academician, whatever you want to call him, I'll go toe to toe with anybody. And they don't want to talk to you. But I came a very nice way of saying I just wanted some information on the discrepancies. And this guy is setting the whole tone about, he's from UC Berkeley, Maryland. He testified to Congress. And this is a screenshot. And this is really important because what he says, a fire expert says, it's actually very common that wildfires will burn out structures and vehicles, but leave surrounding trees, utility poles, and other vegetation unscathed. Embers also explain how boats can catch fire. What the embers? They're little things. They're not the big fire. They're the little off things. That, oh, yeah, they jump freeways and hit the Kmart and blow it up.
Yeah.
Boats that can also ignite from the heater flames if close enough to shore, a fire expert told Newsweek. A fire expert told Newsweek. We got to know. You know what I'm saying? So this is the programming of the minds. It'll be on the record, yada, yada. And this is a picture of the 100,000-foot Kmart, which was adjacent to these Arby's and other food thing, fast food place. But leave the gas station. See the gas station? But this is this Kmart, this thing from inside. This is the profile from on top of it.
Thank you, Daryl Dessa. We got a bidding war going on. Never had this.
You know, and the preposterous story is this is coming from east to west. And if anybody lives in Northern California knows, we got the Sierra Nevadas, 12,000-foot peaks, and winds coming from east to west don't really happen. And so this is their story. And so this was the Tubbs fire that burnt up Santa Rosa the night I was there, October 7th and 8th. And this, I was staying right down here by the golf course. And it came right, we evacuated to the coast. But it only hit this one area. And then it only jumped the freeway and hit that Kmart 100,000 square foot. And then it stopped after Coffee Park. We call it Coffin Park now. But this was all set for residuation to take over the lands and get the green going in there, they call it, and stuff. So they were just carving out the areas they wanted. And again, the facts are facts. So I called him up and tried to get him and say, hey, you know, if ask him these questions, because he's saying all this stuff is normal and fires don't, and just get these guys accredited, right?
And I'm supposed to remind you to thank John Lord and Matt Dakin, because they were, according to Melanie, they were some firefighters that lost their lives, and they talked about the DEW weapons. So she's stopping the show, so you would say something.
No, and John Lord passed, Captain John Lord, both 20-year captains. So the way that went down, and just as I'll flip through and show that the business side of directed energy, you know, that it's been around for a long time.
And thank you. Good night, Red Storm. $20.
So, yeah, John, I'll leave it here. So John and I became friends. And so that came about because Matt called me up and he was looking at Plain Truth number 3 or 4, whatever. And we lived nearby, and he'd been a fire captain, but he was still under pension and hadn't retired yet. And he came and we met for coffee, and he told me that the stuff that he was watching my videos, he goes, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. This is not anything I've ever seen.
What's this a picture of you've got on the screen here?
This is a picture I took. Well, let me just finish for a second, John Lord. Okay.
Okay.
But, no, I'm sorry. But this is a picture I took in Paradise. That's about 3 miles east or south of Eel Paradise. So this is the Eel River down below. So this is a picture of them using the weaponry to scar it when they're just going zap, zap, testing that, zap, zap, zap. Right? You ever seen anything like that, Richard?
No, it looks like they were hitting different areas before they went to do what they were going to do.
And do it with, there you go. And then look at the car in the forefront. That was a gas station there. So these are pictures I took of it all. I forgot where I was going on the other part.
Oh, we were talking about the two firefighters. That was all.
Oh, John Lord, yeah. So John Lord died a couple years ago in Lake County, and he was such a brave man to come on record, and that allowed Matt, when he retired, to go on record and go outspoken as well. And they're the only two guys ever to question any of this in the entire fire departments. I've been stonewalled too with my books about them. You know, they just can't deal with whatever, blind programmed, whatever. And you'll notice in many places, like by where I live in Ukiah, the fire department, the police department, the community center, and the Southern Ukiah High School are all surrounded by a 50-foot steel tower 5G.
Wow.
I mean, you look in every town and it's everywhere.
Yeah, they rolled a lot of that in during the lockdowns that they were doing. And thank you very much, Dana. I got a chat. People really like your presentation. I'm getting a bunch of chat money. It's fantastic. So thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I'm just hoping to educate and do a presentation of what I've found and what I've learned. But you know, when I heard the story and it came out and I said, you know what, that just makes so much sense to me. That this tinfoil aluminum, birds nose, knock it in, have to go down, fragile flying machine, light is everything. Free fall speed down 10.3 seconds. Oh my gosh. I mean, and then you hear the bomb. So they do the thermite thing, get everybody off the main activity of the event. And this is the best picture I've seen of it. And that is a real picture. And that's a complete implosion of steel being dustified at the frequency of that steel of what it is. And there's another lighter steel that they were using for the outside structures. That was at a different frequency. They used multiple lasers. And they had weather, the big geoengineer weather the day before off the East Coast there. You know, so this was all a very well orchestrated event.
And I don't know what happened as far as the different events. My thought on this one, it was such a ritual. And there's a gentleman I've watched many years, Brian Stavely, and he has a photo that freaked me out that showed this building is basically empty on most of the floors that were destroyed. So I believe this was just a sacrificial thing and a spell and all that. I don't know.
They did more than that. They went and got the artists, the Israeli artists, and they got the cadavers and they pushed them all out. And that's the bodies you saw falling out and stuff. Those were dead cadavers. It was very ritual. Yeah, it's Yaakov.
So I'm not sure like who or if, you know, how many people died there, but I definitely believe that something different went on in Maui that I think that a lot of people did get fried, but I don't know. Yeah.
Think of the significance and think about if you've ever done the dollar bill thing where you make you make the event on the back of the 10, the 20, and the 50,
right,
and you fold it like an airplane, right? Well, they actually moved the river, I don't know what's the name of it, 28 feet over so that it would make that archway of the buildings coming down. This was Rockefeller property. They put it up there. You know, and so they did it for a very long time, planned the destruction of Yakim and Bose in the Empire State.
Right.
It was extremely ritual in the way they did it. And it was about coming down. And then what they do is when they take they wouldn't allow Kennedy to be himself and not support, you know, Vietnam and get off the debt dollar. And even though he's Roman Catholic, they took him out, right? You know, they'll do whatever they're going to do. But this is the beginning of World War III. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah.
The taking down of the two World Trade Centers, this is the Empire State. This is Yakim and Bose. This is a biblical mythology of the most powerful state of the entire Eagle, the Union, and everything else. So when they took that down, they declared the beginning of World War III. That was their announcement. You know, they always have a story, but this we'll look back on. And this now, what's happening now, as it started in 2020, is perfect vision. And if you go to the occult side, you know that the one-eyed man is king, because we live in a land of the blind, because we're in the dense form of light beings having physical experiences. So that's why everything's one eye. That's even on the deck of cards is one eye. Well, now beginning 2020, after centuries of planning, Vision 2020 is begun. World War III was declared. Now it's perfect vision. We are the light, and there is no more darkness. Darkness is ash. So
and, you know, that's the other thing is the people, whoever, you know, you want to say is in charge, going all the way back, say the fallen ones, it's a long-term game plan they have. They go generational, and that's something that a lot of us don't think that way. But that's why when they build these things, they like 40 years from now, we're going to do something. They've got a long game plan on all of this stuff.
Yeah, but now it's operational, and that's what's hard for people and to be in our
Correct.
country. And this is where we should be communitizing, growing our own food. But another thing, Jeff, Richard, that's been causing a lot of
What's that picture? What's that picture you have there?
Well, this is another proof of underground ULF lightning. Lightning comes from the ground, and if you go back to Tartaриans, the New York Empire State Building, Chrysler Building, those are all energy harvesting. That's why they had blimps and everything back then, because they would just use the energy of Earth and the air, and they just use it in free energy. They were very nature friendly. So this is a picture of using artificial intelligence, the bad side of it, and this is how they can burn out anything. And if you look at a guy named Ray Emerson, he is the largest log owner in the world, has more land than Ted Turner, and he owns all the rights to all these logs up here. So they didn't burn the outside, so he can still harvest these. And this is showing how you can burn people from the inside, from underneath. And that's my point, is that's in Paradise. I saw it all over the place. It came from below, and nobody talks like that. Can you tell me what
that's really microwave technology kind of idea, because it's from the inside out heating?
Well, and again, like I said, it's nothing new under the sun. And can anybody tell me what this is a picture of?
I'm at a loss.
All right. So I grew up over here, San Francisco, 1906 earthquake.
There you go.
Capitol building. Right.
Yeah.
And then in 19, this really happened. And then, so the 1906 earthquake, and then 9 years later, in 1915, on 680 acres down at Crissy Field, down in the Marina Green in San Francisco, they hosted over 5 million people for the biggest fair the world's ever seen for the Panama. Yeah, right. After this, give me a break. So this is how they torched the towns out and got the people away last time. Nothing new under the sun. This is a picture I took up in Paradise. These are mandarin trees. I mean, these are like the hardiest trees around, and there was a bunch of these guys showing me. Isn't that wild?
That's insane.
So we gotta, knock, knock, knock. Open your mind. It's really hard to do, and I'm sorry I have to present this kind of information, but the information is beyond most people's ability to understand. And we got to keep the stories for the future. This was another interesting one I want to talk about for a second, if I could. You're gonna like this one, Richard. Richard.
Yeah, I'm listening.
No. This is what I want you to do. You ready?
Okay.
Find the word harp.
Oh, I can see it. Where the word hard there, it looks like a P.
Right?
Yeah.
Mountain Dew, harp. They're telling you. And this is the Baja Blast. What did we just have like 3 days ago out here on the West Coast?
Right.
You got your stuff going on, but they were declaring there's going to be the Southwest was going to have a year's worth of rain. The whole Southwest. They said that 10 inches of rain fell in San Bernardino, but nowhere else. They said you don't have pictures of it coming out from anywhere. I mean, and the Baja Blast, but had a sky to it that I hadn't seen of 15 years of geoengineering. And Melanie, she's a hawk on this stuff. She presented to me 5 days before this black entity when we first started to call a hurricane coming in California. She saw the pattern, and it was this black dark entity, and that came over us, and it kind of milked our cars and scarred the fruit trees we're learning. So they got scarred on the food. And this is the synthetic biology that Celeste Salam.
So then I had another friend reach out who's in Maui and was telling me that the victims were being told by their insurance companies that their properties that burned were actually violating city code and could not be rebuilt. So an act of war, an act of nature, whatever it may be that took place in this area, is now violating city code, and their insurance company is deciding not to cover it. Interesting that they were able to obtain an insurance policy to begin with, if it was not within the city code. So then what is the point of insurance? If
Right.
insurance is there to cover you in case an accident or something occurs, then what would be the point of having it if it doesn't cover you if that accident or incident occurs? These are questions we have to ask about this whole scenario and the entire thing in which is happening.
Listen to me carefully. Is being given a special package, and I don't want you to open it. Do not open it. Cameras are on you, so do not open until I tell you. All right? Open your boxes. Open your boxes. 1, 2.
Oh, man. So this is a show I was on, thanks to Melanie, a few days ago. This is another thing, too. I don't care what you think of politics. They're just there to distract you.
Yes, they're all puppets. Yeah.
But as I said, it's all legal. It doesn't matter, what the politics say, because it goes down to legal system that owns the military and all that stuff. So they can own you, put you in jail legally, not by some politics. That's your belief systems. And that's one way they get us all. Oh, I never meet you, don't even know you, but I'm going to go and do a check, and you're going to do what I want you to do, and I'm going to look on the screen and see if you do or not. No, Obama, damn it. I mean, Trump, damn, Trump. I mean, hey, Bush had our backs, didn't he? All this stuff is to get us distracted from using the stuff that's going on right now. And here you got Kennedy, who was in paradise, and he's one of them. And he went to paradise along, only 4 of these named guys went there.
Yeah.
And he said that, as asked directly, was this directed energy weapons? Because my name was getting out there and I was calling it directed energy. He goes, no, it isn't possible whatsoever, and totally changed the subject. So it's kind of cool to have someone like that respond because of me. So that was fun.
That is cool. And didn't they? I've seen enough where the the sheriff or the chief of Maui was also involved in the Vegas debacle, and in addition to that, he's also the coroner, so he tells you how many bodies there are.
Right.
I mean, when you look back in the days of like when they were talking about all these different like Black Plague and all these things, the church was the one that went around and decided how many people died, and so of course they do whatever they want. And it sounds like once again we have this scenario. We'll never know the true story because they've got it all wrapped up again and all their Freemason people.
And no one's coming to help. And I've said this for quite some time now. I call it yo-yo. You're on your own. Well, no, we have to think about self-preservation. We have to start thinking about where stuff comes from and what could be toxic to us now. And the list of terrain clearing I do in my healing is off the charts. There's so many things we're being attacked with in so many different ways. It's amazing we're still here, But what I wanted to, did I talk about before about this book thing?
Did you talk about it?
Yeah. Did I bring it up already or not? I can't remember.
Well, we talked about it, not to buy. Well, I mean, go ahead if you want to talk about it again. I don't know.
I'm just saying they always have prongs about how they go and use these events for many different prongs of interest to get what they want. And this is the beginnings of, if you look at YouTube, they just announced that medical, they're going to clamp down on any false medical information. And then also Google has now said that they're going with the United Nations and WHO, and they're going to, any information that is not deemed this, that, or the other thing, they will take down your site or your whatever. So this is this is how they take down books. Now, one of the things, Richard, that has just blown me to tears is that when they started banning books in this country, and no one said boo. I mean, give me a freaking break that because of this, that, or the other thing, that the books are banned now. The books you and I said we read, right?
Yeah.
Those are the ones they're banning now. This is complete control of the material knowledge. Make no mistake about it. And all these libraries are being shut down, and universities are going to be lost to Chat GPT. And you're going to have your security ID. That's going to be your leash. And again, this is the chronicling where the military bases are. They didn't come for help. I mean, this is they don't want the stories getting out. It's very controlled. Like I said, Paradise, it was a month you couldn't get in there. And my friend that I went up there with, Shelly, she was in the military, so she went up and talked to the guys and stuff. And yeah, she said it was. But just, when I interviewed Paradise, when I
so I had to take this down because some alerts.
And I have a question for you too when you have a moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Melanie asked, Jay, will you? I'm assuming that's you. Jay, will you sport 100 to can answer organic act? What does that mean?
Say it one more time.
It's the way she writes. I think she's having trouble with her old phone. Will you sport $100 to can answer organic act? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, just.
Oh, if we can answer organic act. I don't know. Write it again, Melanie. Nobody knows what you're saying. Continue, sir.
Let's do it on a sidebar, okay? Thanks.
Sidebar, yeah.
There you go. So we got more things to talk about here.
Yes, please.
So I don't know, where were we going with this? But I just chronicled just more and more about seeing rays, and that the grand poobah of Engineering says it can't exist, doesn't exist, you see it. And then this is how they slap us in the face, Richard, and everyone. Doesn't matter what that name of doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's the language that they're sending you a message. We're laser focused. This came out right after Maui. We're laser focused on getting aid to survivors.
I remember when they said that. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and that was just last week.
Yeah.
And this, and you remember that Trump and Newsom and all the men in black, they went to paradise. Now they send stumbling, bumbling Biden, and he just didn't do anything there. And there's no news coming out of there.
And of course they always show him. This guy fell asleep because that's some kind of a ceremony. They want to make us look just completely ridiculous to the rest of the world, and they're doing a good job with him.
Well, and the freedom to think, and like you presenting all these alternative narratives, it allows people to free their minds up to everything being possible. But you're leaving behind, when I was there too, it was just you thought this certain way. And now, now there's just so much to keep track of. Just also we have a big duty to understand, like I spoke to about Lahaina and the native lands. This comes up. I love it. All right. So this is, I got on my response page. And this is what's really fun, Richard, like you do, is interact. My family is world famous royalty Maui. Most of them have been murdered leading up to the planned pandemic lockdown. No one from the mainland believes me, only because I never talked about my lineage for decades. I was bullied in all-white church growing up, supremacist military warlord, Arizona German, very Mormon people land. So I learned not to say anything about my real ancestry, even though my Hawaiian family was world-famous sound healers. I have been on Oahu for years begging for help, tortured for most of my life. My dad, the big Pahuinio, and brothers Pahuinio were murdered passive-aggressively, which I can never prove. My white grandpa was murdered on Father's Day. My mom and her siblings wanted this money. They were trying to cover up thousands of years of history. And I've got several of these from not just her, but others that people have been sharing too. And this is, again, right after we had, the Harvey was 8th. And then 10 days later, now we got this Category 4 Hurricane Hillary. Hillary. And again, if you're not on the West Coast, this is the New York Times, but if you're on the East Coast looking at this stuff, you're going, oh my God, I'm not going to California. It's all by design. And then they do this, and this is all predicted when we learned right after the Maui, the Baja blast. And then Baja comes up right at the same time. And notice the 666.
Every time.
666. Okay. And so I just put this together just to get in people's heads kind of a overall picture. And I've got evidence here in my books. I cover the people in PG. I was told they were contracted. This is about them getting the directed energy weapons there to start taking out Paradise, which is on about a 1,200 foot butte outside of Chico, owned by the Freemasons. And this is going on now, August 18th, like you were talking about, and bringing additional enough. Yeah. That was one of yours, but this is everybody on their own kind of thing. And what we can do is educate ourselves and do what we can with what we got, but try and get your food growing. And there's another reason they hit Michael Murphy, who's another outspoken geoengineering guy, they got the Maui Clean Ordinance Sky to stop geoengineering. And Mario Hemingway did a project with Michael Murphy about that in his second movie. And he got in trouble and they took him out. Because one of us in the truth movement said nope. So off all the lasers, the only thing I can figure out, and that's my new home. So what do you think?
Say that again.
Well, with lasers taking anybody out at any time, they can do what they want, so to speak. Now is our new language,
right?
Right. Well, if I got a mirror house,
do you think that would work?
I don't know. I don't know, because they use underground lasers too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because there is a grid underneath it.
Well, what I'm presenting, yes, because they own the lands, they own the nature. When they did the Paradise, and I've got a documentary if you want to see it. And again, folks, please, the Michael Gollner, who's a professor, fire expert, he's to testify to Congress. He's telling all the fire departments this. Okay, this is what they're hearing. And after my presentation tonight, whatever you think of this guy, don't. the man in charge of Maui's let's put this under 1-800-AUDACITY. The man in charge of Maui's Emergency Management Agency said Wednesday he does not regret not activating warning sirens as the fatal wildlife swept across the island. Chief Herman.
He's not up on charges for this. He should be.
Chief Herman Andayo said he opted to send out alerts via mobile devices, radio waves, television, and the county's opt-in resident alert system, but not the FIA siren. They have the tsunami sirens and warnings and stuff. I mean, they play it all the time. I'll show you in a minute. But so he made the decision not to turn it on, and he admits it.
Yeah, because we talked about it. They turned on that damn siren when they said that there was a nuclear weapon coming that was all BS.
Right.
But not for this. And
so this idiot is given $700. Thank you very much for people lost their homes. They're never going back, and this is happening too as evacuation. So please, when they tell you to evacuate, you got to use your wits. And if there's a fire, like the people that bolted out of Paradise right away got out. The people that stayed and helped neighbors had their houses burned. It happens so fast. If you see it now, this is part of your education. If you see it, you know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So understand, please, and USA, stick your flag up. Never mind. It's an Inc. It's a corporation. But read what this is about that just happened in Hawaii, which is one of the 50 states. I mean, school was canceled. Children were home while parents worked. Hundreds of children burned alive, can't be identified. Let's just stop right there. You don't need to read anything else.
No. Sickening.
And we're going to go right past it. And
that's because they control, obviously, but they control all the mainstream narratives. So it's just, a very small group of us that are talking about these things, and they can silence it real easily. And
no cops on bullhorns, no firefighters in streets. Same thing they said in Paradise on the people I interviewed. The tow truck driver from Paradise, I interviewed him, and he said when he first got in, like the second day, because he had to tow the cars out, I said, "How many dead did you see?" And he goes, "Oh, I saw 200 easy just on the first street." And the official dead count is 85 now. It was 86, now it's 85. So he contradicts that right away with first-person testimony. And I go on to accrue it went in the tens of thousands that were burnt alive and toasted and fried and zapped, and whatever you want to call it. But this is technology where they pulled over the cars with OnStar. You know how long OnStar has been in cars?
Yeah. And I've talked about this a long time ago when they came out with that technology where they can shut down a car. Like, what could possibly go wrong? And it almost seems like, is that what you're suggesting? They shut the cars down. That's why they're all stopped the way they are.
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm telling you.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I said, and let me just be really clear. I could bring it up too, is I've got a 2.5 hour 2.5 hour interview I got a guy who saw me covering the Paradise, and he worked on the technology. And I was from Wall Street, and I understood technology talk too. So we got into it about the technology of using directed energy in many different ways. And he would talk about the embers in Paradise. He goes, "You notice those embers?" And I go, "Yeah." People said they weren't hot. They could touch them. He goes, "Yeah, it's cold ember." Because they have to create cold plasma to create the directed energy weapons.
Wow.
That's why they make the profiles before they start the weapon going, is they make the cold energy, the cold plasma, by swirling the energy. And in Paradise, they actually use the energy of the Earth, where all the three big Earth cracks from San Andreas Fault to up to Washington, the Puget Sound, across to Asia. They use that energy to fry it in the profile. If I showed you of what went on there.
And I was going to address a few other people have brought up the whole blue thing, and we kind of talked a little bit about that. The weapons that, as Jamie is saying, that they can laser target whatever they want, and maybe they just left a lot of blue to throw a rabbit trail that connects to a Simpson cartoon, but they could destroy anything, it looks like, except maybe the mirror house.
Richard, I saw that come in. I put something out there, and I said, but I did see bullet-ridden bodies when I went there from a guy named Show Me Baby, and he went there, and he was let in by the White House people in white vans into the Port Arthur, and that was about 15 miles due east of Houston, right on the coast, and that's where they had the FEMA prisons. And so he said they had the cage and the floating cage, and I guess they went in and saved the people. They were the real saviors because they went in by boat, but they were led in by the white guys in white trucks. And then when they went in there, they left them there, and they opened the dams and flooded everybody out. And Show Me Baby is on record, and I just published it again, saying he saw bodies with holes in their bodies.
Ah,
and they leave no, yeah. Well, and they took down the Georgia Guidestones, folks. I mean, they're doing what they can. But
and I have another question from the chat.
Wait, let me just finish on this because I'm going to close it out. And I'm sorry if I offend you because you just got the thought. So please listen to me. If you think wearing something blue is going to save your ass, think again. Thank you very much. Stop it, man. If that's the best you can do is think blue. And this has been it's amazing to think you put that out there because this started 3 days ago, this whole conversation. And there's a blue car right down there. There's a blue car right down there. So yes, if you look at the blue frequency, it's 666.
Of course.
Yes, the blue frequency is something that there's green, there's yellow, and what's the other one? Red. And so these are all different frequencies, and they have modulations of frequencies. But this is what they departed and contained scenes. The firemen didn't show up. Same thing in Paradise. Power lines. Well, I show where lasers. There's a video I got out where they're showing how they cut the lasers just like that. They have laser beams to do it.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And then again, no one's coming to save us.
Yeah, I have someone says, "What if you covered your roof with CDs?" That's
there you go. So this is more companies. All right, let's finish on that. I'll just go through this real quick. That's military. Showed that already. But if we understand that they can hit us from above, but now we're all focused on debt. There's some events that are coming up, and just to bring it. I mean, look at this. They have the This is a military, U.S. government funded operation, folks.
Of course it is.
This is their website. This is their logo. This is from their site.
And have you looked into what is it called? I think it's called Leo. That's the new system they're putting up of the quote satellites. Low Earth orbit is what Leo stands for, and of course it's through our military and NASA. They want to connect a chain of low Earth satellites to and it's through the Department of Defense. Meanwhile, over in Europe, they just sold their idea to their military company too, and so all the military, of course, is involved in all of this LEO technology, which maybe is just making a huge grid of these monstrous machines. What do you think?
I think it's wise for people to understand and know that every president that's ever been president has the same bloodline. Negative bloodline, folks. This is where the term blue blood comes from. This is the lineage that's been at the driving wheel that we don't hear or talk about. We talk in our fanciful ways about countries and businesses and corporations and legals and rights. And I mean, it's so fanciful when you know the operators behind them are just owner asses. We're just pawns in the game.
Yeah.
And Richard, ask people, and I can bring this up because it's very important for us to understand this book. So William Guy Carr. So he was an admiral from Royal Navy intelligence, head of intelligence in Canada, and worked with the British Royal Navy before that. And then he got hit, and he was in the hospital, and someone gave him the Bible, and he compared what he saw in the Bible with what was forecast by the entities he was working with in the intelligence world. So he wrote this book, and he was his profile here, because it's important to understand how long again they've been planning this stuff. And they keep talking about it. Hello. So it's called Satan, Prince of this World. And what it's about is what we talk about now, and what he was talking about in 1958, 9, he died, his son finished the book. Where is the book?
I saw it a second ago. You were looking at it.
Pawns in the Game is another one of his books. But Satan, Prince, let me get that. Books.
And everyone's enjoying the show, so thank you everyone for being here, and I really appreciate you doing the presentation.
The book is called Satan, Prince of this World, and it's got the see the book here.
Yeah, I can see him.
So he finished in 1960, and he gets into it and says what he saw from the inside, and that coincided what I saw from the inside. And just I'll get there in a second, but this is also frequencies. If you want to know how you can change people's behaviors, here's the frequencies. It's not science. It's not just not known, right?
Yeah, and I remember they had some stories there where they were letting us know about. There was some embassy, remember, when everyone got sick, and they said that they were hit with some kind of frequency weapon. So they do put the stories out there, but then you think it's only that. It's only happened there. Do you remember that, where they had that? The whole embassy was coming down sick, one of our U.S. embassies overseas or something.
Well, it's always us against them.
Right.
And but now that we know, here's the blue, how big a conspiracy, hear me out. And it's amazing to watch the internet, how quickly it picks us up. But let's talk. And this is a guy we all need to carpet bomb with truth. And and read that book, Satan, Prince of this World, because it talks about the covenant. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. But this guy, Craig Clements, is a Google scholar at San Jose State University. And San Jose is 2.5, 3 hours away from Paradise, if anybody knows Northern California. And here he's got his LiDAR truck looking through the profile. And this is on their website, Fire Weather Research Lab, November 2018, the day of the fire. He's got his LiDAR truck and he's taking pictures of it. How did he frickin' know to be there? Seriously. LiDAR. They're taking pictures. They're partying. They got more than one. Look at the big, it's a party. This is something we're gathering metering. We're they're all, like I said, the PG&E was there before. This was a setup event. This has been going on for a long time. And then they have the other evidence too, the car fire, which was up in Lake Shasta. Here you got this guy. He's doing weather balloons for the weather. Same stuff.
Coincidentally, they just all happen to be there right at the right moment.
Yeah, and what was that word you used?
Oh, yeah, I don't believe in it anymore. There are no
no. But look at this coincidence like none other. Look at the title: Air Force Research Laboratory. Hammett includes the work with Maui-based Amos site, also called Afro Detachment 15, putting and keeping Maui on path. I was proud to speak of its achievements. Activated this 15th Surveillance Squad. I could not be more proud of our airmen and guardsmen at Maui in looking at the future of the Air Force Directed Energy Weapons System. See the Air Force determine the directed energy weapons we need.
It's perfect.
We're laser focused.
That's the thing. They people are so just with the fluoride stare that they can say anything anymore, and no one's watching. No one's listening.
This is news to a lot of people too, because I do a lot of good research and deeper, and I'm putting this together for everybody just to try and consume and save, do whatever with. But now that we know what we're up against, we can start fighting it in many different ways, and come together more too. So, but we have to be aware of what we're up against. I'm a nuts and bolts guy. What am I up against? What am I dealing with?
Mm-hmm.
So here we see we delivered the United States Air Force's what United States you taxed out? Yes, we U.S. Air Force first ever operational directed energy weapons. We don't do it on the people. We pay for it and they use it back on us. You want to know an absurdity on an absurdity, Richard? Just to share with you, and Deborah Tavares and I have talked about it. Is they've diverted, anybody knows about Santa Rosa in Northern California, we have the Russian River, and they got in a big thing about all the effluents and all their waste going, toilet, poo going into the river, the beautiful river. So they re-engineered it and put pipes all the way up to Geyserville and put it in the geysers, and they ran it from also the same waste from Lake County down in. And literally, because they use wet surface air coolers to blow up weather to create rain and what coming off the coast, they're literally raining our own back on us.
Nice.
Welcome, except when Bohemian Grove starts, beautiful day, no geoengineering, nothing going on. They've had the chem fog up and down the west coast here like I've never seen. I'm 18 miles off the coast of the Pacific Ocean, up and down the entire California. No one's had a summer. It's been chem fogged all over.
And another thing I've noticed they also, I believe, they produce a lot of this cloud coverage to block the sun, as Bill Gates wants to do, from the ground too, because like there's a town out here that's a quote paper mill, and the smoke that comes out of it literally fills the sky up, and now it's clouds everywhere.
So one of the things I can play this because or just show you the same things where we weren't giving any notice. This is the same thing in Paradise. So I'm rehashing. This is my number 88 one I did about no notices were given. And here's testimony. Okay. So we're preserving knowledge. This is what I'm talking about. And then they turned off the fire detection cameras. They admitted it.
The same stuff they're doing now in Maui that they did.
Well, no, but we got to hold people accountable, and we got to tell the story correctly, and we got to share the knowledge that we know because no one else is saving it but us.
Right.
That's what's important. That's what
viewers have written in asking if the fire detection cameras on Sawmill Peak or Flea Mountain caught the campfire in its early stages. Cal Fire says the cameras did record the fire but did not set off an alert when the fire started. Cal Fire had the alarm feature turned off. They reasoned that the cameras set off, they've been setting off too many alarms when they detect any movement like a tree swaying in the wind.
Note the
They
way.
are working to get the camera recordings, but Cal Fire may not release them until after the investigation is over.
Wow.
Right. So we're the keepers of this stuff, and share, please, and thank you for having me. But this ties back to Agenda 21 and way before that. And this is in our backyard. I mean, they own the military and they own all the interests. They set it up as corporations are on your side, but it's anything but. And what's happened now is they've made up these stories, but I'm trying to find this one.
Well, I got a $2 tip from Red Storm Good Eye, and a dog named Boo. Boo. Thank you.
All right, so can we go spiritual here for a little bit?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Just a quick Jewish side. When I started on Wall Street, all of a sudden, like the Wall Street started shutting down. I go, "What's happening?" He goes, "Russia Homa time." The whole place shut down. It was amazing.
Yes.
The black nobility. Now, this is who Dan of Men in Black, the movie V for Vendetta. Who was that about? Men in Black. Who was that about? That's the Jesuits. That's the guys that are running the show. This is who you got to understand is, knocked off Kennedy and doing the whole thing behind the scenes stuff is the people that are under societies that in my book, I cover over 32 secret societies. Very, very few have you ever heard of it. And this is the black nobility from the beginnings of it. And this is why it's important to understand behind it all, the bloodlines, the secret society, and they have a code and they have a manifest. And this is the Jesuits, naming names, the Vatican, La Cosa Nostra, that's the Knights Templar. This is hidden knowledge that we need to learn about going back to the ancestry is who the answer to they is. And when you see the names of people, like Kennedys and Rothschilds and Rockefeller, all those names you hear, these are from the 13 sacred houses that have started it all, owned it all. And there's a book called 13 Secret Families. Fritz Springmeier writes about, and he got almost killed for it. So anyway, let me show you this. So what they put out was this document.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to let you read it for a little bit, any way you want, if you can see it okay. But this is one of the known to be their manifest. And it's about 5 parts, maybe.
So basically they're saying, because at the beginning is illusion will be so large it'll escape their perception, and those who see it will be thought of as insane. It's exactly what we're seeing happening right now.
Soft metals will cause them to lose their minds.
The soft metals, yeah.
And
there's another gentleman I watch. I'm trying to think of his name right now, but he did a thing just recently on the hats, like the uniforms that they gave everyone back in the day. They're all wearing the same thing in these hats, and the hats actually they used mercury to hold the felt on better. So they were slowly getting mercury poisoning. You get Mad Hatter syndrome and all that. Because inside the hat on your head, and so
what most people don't understand about mercury is mercury's inert. It doesn't bother you. It's fine. It's when it contacts bacteria that's when it gets mercury methanol. Then you got the problem.
Which would happen if you have a sweaty hat and it gets your mercury on there.
There you go. Exactly. So just so people understand mercury, it's all part of this. But they talk about the soft metals. Then when they give birth, we'll inject poisons into their blood and their children to convince them it's for their health.
Gee.
When their teeth decay, we'll fill them with metals that will kill their mind. My brother Dennis hates me.
And where's this secret covenant? Is there some we can?
This is what I'm talking about, the black nobility. This is how the secret.
Can we look that up somewhere that we can get a copy of that, or?
Yeah, you just somebody note to have me get some information for you about it. Okay.
All right, I'll do that after the show.
Maybe Melanie can do that if she's still on with us.
She better be.
So anyway, just to go through this, because this is really good fun to understand. When they say things, they put them on paper and they go, see, we said it. And they have to tell us what they're doing. And only looking back can we understand that what they've done. We didn't believe it because now they're doing it. We're going, holy shit. I mean, that's the thing about waking up. You see the darkness, you're like, oh my gosh. And you're the light. You're the first light. So that's why it's important to take this stuff down. And like you said, I'll get whatever I can, documentation I can. And then I got my free books that everybody's welcome to go through. And Melanie edited 2 of those books, by the way, final editor.
Really? Excellent.
Really? Yeah.
I had something. What did I did grab here? This.
Melanie.
Or as most people say, her name is this.
Melanie, it's all your fault.
I've seen both. And just getting back on the serious side for a sec, minds belong to us. Implement mind-altering technology. we will use fear as our weapon. I mean, we're right in the sweet
Yeah.
spot of addiction. We're in the secret covenant. Our families will never mix with theirs. Our blood must be pure as always, for that's the way. When a light shall shine among them, we'll extinguish it with ridicule or death.
Look at that one line. We will make them kill each other when it suits us.
Though that's the Marburg virus. And just let me talk just 1 second. Is this they have, history is about zombie apocalypses, and they do have technology to create that to happen in the 5G technology department of and many more things they can do. See, their arsenal is so massive, you don't know what they're going to come from and do. That's the hard part of it. But living in a spiritual world of just like, I'm going to see if we go into what I was thinking about Steiner being intelligence, inspiration, intuition, wisdom, and creativity, the future generations will be picking up what we're downloading today. And that's what's important to save the knowledge. You learn from your father. I learned from my father. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why waking up and getting all the information off the internet is a double-edged sword. You can learn so dang much too. And you can see their documentation now. And so they must never know that color is an illusion. They must always think they are not equal. Drop by drop, we will advance our goal. That's their thing. They do it drop by drop. The slow boil, they're just a boiling frog. They must never learn this. Members of these groups will think or one as us knowing the truth. They must never learn this truth, for they will turn against us.
Mm-hmm.
They must never know. But if they find out they are equal, we shall perish them. This is our secret covenant by which we shall live the rest of the present and future lives, for this reality will transcend many generations and lifespans.
Wow.
This is about reincarnation. This is about you're not coming back. This is where taking Earth over. This is what this is really all about, is souls, reaping of souls. This is really spiritually what it's all about. And this is what they're saying.
Yeah.
This covenant is sealed by blood, our blood. What is it? What are they taking from everybody? Our blood.
Right.
And we, the ones who from heaven to earth came, this covenant must never, ever be known to exist, written or spoken. For if it is, the consciousness it will spawn will release the fury of the prime creator upon us, and we shall be cast to the depths from which we came and remain there until the end of infinity itself. The more of us wake up, the more chance we got, guys.
Right.
Hey, we might be early, you know what I mean?
Well, I do the spiritual side, and if the spirit of the Antichrist is alive and well, which we can see, then there's a revival of the church, of however you want to see that. But there's a spiritual good side that's being revived right now at the same time. And that's the thing that keeps, this can pose a lot of channels use this as what they call fear porn. And that's not how you or I representing it. We're letting people know this information, that these things are out there. And for me, I get comfort in knowing that the creator I have a relationship with, I can find comfort there that these things aren't going to get to me because we've been awakened to this. There's no coincidences.
Well, and you've taken the risk, and you've taken the time, and you've gone out and put yourself out there, and your partner. You guys have been doing the yeoman's work, as my grandfather used to say, and I know because I've done the same thing. And I honor and respect you, but not a lot of people know like this stuff, these papal bloodlines. This is what I'm talking about. You want to see the Kennedy bloodline? You want to see the Rothschild bloodline? There's nothing new under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so let's stop this idea of small ball and understand here's your Lucifer Satan up here and the papal bloodlines here and black nobility here. Remember I told you the secret covenant, black nobility I was just reading? Mm-hmm. That's at that level that there. And then you got the Jesuit Council, Zionism, and they used the whole World War II to create the Israel conflict, to get the whole final conflict, to create the religious wars so the Satanism can take over with their manifest, and that's what you're going to have.
And that's written scripturally in the Bible and Revelation. It says there'll be Jews that are not Jews, and they worship the Star of Remphan, and they call it the Star of David. It's actually the Star of Remphan, which is like Moloch and the baby killing and all that stuff. And so that's talked about, and here we are. I think, like you say, they're hiding behind that.
But this is about choice, and we are spiritual beings, in my opinion, spiritual beings having a physical experience. And so for spiritual beings having a physical experience, right, then this is about to learn, about to do what we can do with our physical body. We're here to karmically do some big ass stuff if we open our minds, but it's not for everybody. And we understand this hierarchy going on here. We're exposing it. And so by that alone, it's bringing, and you're taking risk, and that's what it's all about right now, risk and reward. But however,
I think anybody that's awakened to this is part of that, whether they have YouTube channel or they've done anything. God woke all of our eyes to this point, and we all have a certain part, even if we don't know what it is yet.
So remember I talked about black nobility and the secret covenant. So everybody underneath this has the secret covenant I just read. Okay. That's why that document's so important. And so here's the
all of your presidents go through this, every single one of them.
Well, no, they're just way down here.
They're connected to all of this.
Well, my book, I show how many are Knights of Malta, how many are Freemasons. I name their lodges, all that. It's not, you can find it if you look. But the black nobility, again, is what I'm talking about, the supreme beings up here in the physical realm. So we're here, and they're afraid of us now because it's also the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, first time in 6,000 years. And this is when you blow things up, expansion of everything is possible. So now we can take our consciousness, our higher being, and we can learn, like I've learned about biomagnetic healing. I'm doing healing using magnetic energy. Can't hurt anybody, and I'm getting incredible results, and I'm doing it remotely, Richard. It's amazing. And so, there's good things happening too. And the light, and we do shining light in the darkness helps us find that the good stuff too, that we can, when we rebuild or whatever we take back or whatever, it's what we want. We got to start saying what we want, because these mofos have got the house of cards. They got the game. They run the show. They own the money. They own the governments. They own everything. Everything else is chatter. Everything else. These are your daddies. Who's your daddy? And that's what the Prince Satan talks about, Admiral William Guy Carr. And so how many of you know about all these? I know central banks over here. These are all they're clubs, multinationals, world order. This is our daddies. And, these are the guys saying we're going to do it our way. And they filter through on a need to know basis. So if you want to know hierarchies and how big the food chain is, I think it was Melanie gave me this chart, by the way. I think
figures.
No, but this is really good for our minds to expand to how big a story that we've been kept from about what really goes on and stuff we don't know much about.
And then while you were talking, I didn't want to interrupt you. There was people asking about lead. Do you think that does anything against this stuff? Because remember, they used to have lead paint, and they took that away. Do you think?
Well, you know why they took lead paint away?
Tell me.
Because they can't see, they couldn't use it to see through the walls. The 5G is all about seeing what you're doing inside. Right. They're going to make everything you do, how much you think. Toilet flushers are monitoring you. Everything's going to be, you're not going to have any waste. Everything's going to be controlled coming up here very shortly by 2025. But just look at this chart here about who's going on, starting the Pentagon, all of this, but it goes much deeper than that. But all of these committees of 13, committee of 300, central banks, big pharma. This is a brotherhood we're not included in,
Right.
And everybody's on the show tonight. Maybe you're controlled, any low-level Freemason. I think they're great and stuff, but look up a lot higher. And the Federal Reserve was created for what? Paper money. So now they got the chip money, and look up Albert Pike too, and a whole thing on him. So Mulak is the owl. Mm-hmm. Remember the owl comes from, Richard?
Where does it come from?
That's the one out here in Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, Bohemian Grove. That was the whole alley.
That's Mulak. Yeah. That's the devil that they burn.
Right.
And they do a whole sacrifice thing over here at Bohemian Grove, which is an Albert Pike ritual.
And on the back of the dollar bill, they stuck a tiny one on there too, just so.
Yeah, and he shows how the witches, how the dark side. Here's the Thelma, Aleister Crowley seeded this, the fake Titanic, Jekyll Island, the money creation. All that started in the early 1900s. That's when the family children were also being shipped out at the same time. There was a whole lot of stuff going on right in here. And that was the seed.
Uh-oh.
Now, and the real estate market is only up because two companies, Vanguard and BlackRock, own $34 trillion in real estate. They've been buying it up since the Paradise days. Yep. I've seen them over and over in there. So that's why the real estate hasn't dropped. When you have no rights, you can't kick people out. And then, so we're losing it. I don't know where you live, but they're building all these slave pods up and down 101 like crazy, like crazy.
What do you call them? Slave pods?
Yeah, they're units, 300, 200, 500, 800, 680 units, a 6-story, all indoor. You can't get out. They're putting in hotels, Holiday Inns on both sides. There's windows are sealed.
Wow.
That's what they're going to do. Universal basic income. They haven't crashed. We're in $33 trillion of debt. Yeah. When I freaked out in 2007, we went to $1 trillion debt, and the United States had never seen that. No. And we were taking care of our money, so I went to the country and bought a farm.
And it used to be a thing about the debt ceiling. Now we just blow through it every time. No one cares.
So here's being of service, like I said, Pope Francis, just to be spiritual, religious about this. And look at when he's presenting in front of his devils. He's got a whole devil's thing, snake thing. He presents at papal function, and it's very symbolic. And they were the grand poobahs were supposed to bend over and kiss their ass. And they got all of Mexico, and they're all thinking the Vatican is something they relish, and they don't look into the sodomy and the children and all the stuff going on there too. But the Jesuits have been taking over that, and that started right after.
All of the organized religion they put out there is all corrupted. Whether it's
this is their oath, and this is where we gotta take a big girl and boy panties up and read. This is their oath. I'll read it to you if you want, or you can read it yourself. But in order to annihilate forever their execrable race, let me say that now. This is them. They don't care. Protestants and liberals, as I'm directed to do. Extirpate, exterminate. Wow. Spare neither age, sex, condition, and I will hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive these infamous heretics, and rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women, and crush their infants' heads against the walls, in order to annihilate forever their execrable race.
Wow.
Now, when the same cannot be done openly, I will secretly use the poison cup, the strangled cord, drum roll please, can't talk about it, sorry, the steel of the poignard of the leaden bullet.
Wow, look at that.
Regardless of the honor, rank, dignity, and authority of person or persons, whatever be their condition of life, either public or private. I, as at any time, may be directed to do agent of the Pope or superior of the Brotherhood of the Holy Faith of the Society of Jesus. Did I mention to you that Governor Newsom went to Santa Clara, and the governor before that, Jesuit minister Jerry Brown of California? Does anybody want to talk about this stuff? Come on, please.
None of this surprises me anymore. The awakening is really this entire stream. I'm going to watch it again because it's banging my head back around and forth.
Well, just understand where we're at in the big picture of time. At first, they ignore you, he said. Then they ridicule you. Then you fight, and then you win. And to see that people go blue and get all that on their chest, they're paying attention. I go, that's so cool. And you're a good connection. You're a good pipeline, and I've got your pulse on that stuff. So people are, you're helping people a lot, Richard. And I appreciate you letting me present. So that's
really thank you.
That's the secret covenant, and I think that's all in there. Yeah. And I've got that on my JME space LEE on Facebook, and I publish daily on here. Let's open it up. And have you ever heard of Pangea?
Yes.
It's fun. I can share with you. Okay. So I have a book. My last book is about Pangea and Lemuria, and this is when my theory that things didn't happen. I mean, let's be real for 1 second, please. Carbon dating has now been admitted by every scientific measurement company, whatever, to be bogus and not reliable.
That's very true.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. But let's bring that, because that makes all of history they talk about like this being just, you take it out and throw it out the window. End of story. So now we got a new creation story. Now we got evidence that just in the 1800s, we had in Mississippi the great earthquakes for 2 years, 6,000 earthquakes over 2 years on the Mississippi River, the Madeira earthquakes, where the Mississippi River flowed the opposite direction. And then you had the California rivers in the 1810s. The natives talk about that was between Lake Tahoe and Sacramento was underwater, and there was 200 miles more of coastline of California, as I talk about in my book, according to the maps. And then they and then in 1815, they had a winter without a summer, and that was in the East Coast, where New York City averaged 26 degrees the entire summer, and people couldn't grow food. And that was from an earthquake. You've heard of Krakatoa, but nearby was one called Tambora that was 5 times bigger. And in 1812, it covered all, or 1815, it covered all that area on the East Coast. So we have these, and then there's also Napoleon's Comet in 1820 that lit up the whole sky everywhere. So all these events in 1800s, it talks about the possibility that we were connected much closer and better than we were apart. And how did all these cultures of one, communicate with each other? And I said, well, we all either knew each other mentally and we could talk to each other, or we were all together, we could share with each other physically. So this is the land called Pangaea. And Pangaea now says, look at Africa and North America were one. And this is what I write about in my book is the name America. Do you know where the name America comes from, Richard?
Well, the fake story is Amerigo Vespucci discovered a land that was already here with people on it. But no.
Okay, let's think about that. Vespucci and, America. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, isn't it funny? When we were kids growing up, they told us Columbus, who was apparently the worst sailor ever, he was going to India, and instead he finds America, which was already found by Amerigo's Vespucci, the Vikings, and the brown people that were already living there. But anyways, continue.
No, I cover that too. Is when third voyage of Columbus, he came in Mexico, the center of the world, and he found Queen Califia, and that's where the name California comes from. And she was a Nubian 7.5-foot queen, naked, and she ruled the lands for a long time, her family and lineage and whatnot, California, when it was an island. And until the Great Floods, they couldn't access it. So he could finally access it after that's why I say the 1810, 1820s. I mean, here's a question for you, Richard. If anybody knows how big the Great Salt Lake is, get in your mind that to get to California, it took the Lewis and Clark Freemasons 1813 to do the trail, Lewis and Clark Trail, to get down to California from Oregon, right? That's what we're taught, right?
Right.
And then the Donner Party in 1848 got stuck there, and we all heard about the Donner Party at Lake Tahoe, right? Can you tell me why Salt Lake City, where they both left from, why they couldn't get across the Great Salt Lake before that?
I do not know.
Okay, and what about the Salton Sea? Same story. So here you see this connection of a flood that could have been just a recent event. Great, and they still have fossils in the desert there, but this happened just a very short time ago in historical, and we're bringing the truth out about and the name. We talk about Tartarians, but we don't talk about Moors. Or this is what I bring to the table is Amorica is the nation when Africa and the Moors, Amorica, the brownskins, the copperheads, the natives, they were there with Africa joined at Atlanta. That's why the CDC is there and Atlantis is there and the Guidestones are there, because that's where Africa and West Africa and North America. And here's the other thing which I want to get off my chest is when you say the word America, it's an insult. But nobody thinks like that. Make America great again. Are you talking about Central America? Make America great again. You talking about North America? No, make America great again. You talking about South America? No. Make America Canada? No. I mean, we're so arrogant. We don't have a name for Americanese, you know what I mean? Or United Statesian, you know? It's just we're America. And then what about South? And so my book was all about what was one America. And so this is where we get back to Pangaea, is that there was this centrifugal event, a magnetic event, and the Earth spun like a disc on a record player, and all these countries spun out over the course of not so long ago and settled. And there used to be a big ring around it on a flat Earth, and this is where everything settled in the pool, and it's been that way ever since. But they always had the technology, because all they found all around the world was this Tartarian technology of these cathedrals, copper, using elegant electronic energies. You know, they have these big old huge fireplaces in England and these big old buildings and stuff. How did they heat? Well, they didn't. They used the andirons, and they used magnetic energies of the andirons to conduct with the rods inside the buildings, and so they could just create the heat in any building they wanted, any room they wanted. You know, and so it was and then they used the basement below to cool any rooms above when it got hot. I mean,
yeah, we've covered that on the shows that I do, because there's no way you have all that beautiful painting and tapestry and everything, and then you're going to light candles to light this thing. There would be soot on everything. There'd be, who's changing all the candles upstairs? None of that makes any sense. Whereas if they had free energy and electricity through the Antiquitech, and also in the back, they had plates in the back of the fireplaces too that would heat the brick and all that. So yeah, it's we relied on
horse and buggy my ass. Okay, let's just be real. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm so sick of the horse and buggy people. You have no idea.
Well, no, but that's the story. And like you and I, we got educated, schooled like fish. That's why we gradually, by degrees, get graded. So until we get into our master's degree, we get indoctrinated with a doctorate, and then everybody thinks we're smart, because Rockefeller trained by their institutions to think a certain way and programmed on TV to think a certain way. And that's the you know, do you understand that the reason I'm in this with his mother is you know why they take the wisdom teeth out of a teenager?
I was just watching a video on this the other day, and it's horrific when you realize. Well, go ahead, you explain it well, but that they do this. I've talked about it on my show, because I believe we are created by an amazing creator, and our system is perfect. And he didn't add us like IKEA, like we had, what do they call it, vestigial organs? Like he added extra parts that we could rip out. You know, no, they all have something to do. But it's the new medicine. It's you take a pill, you take a shot, you cut it out, you do radiation, you do chemo.
And that's my dad. He was a medicine doc urologist for 30 years. My family, my sister's a nurse, my brother's a dentist. You know, they hate me because I'm into learning a higher conscious healing. So I use energy, and I'm learning about how to use my hands and how to be conductive energies like batteries, and dealing with people's emotions and feelings, you know, and taking back our roots of growing food again, things like that. We've got to get back to our nature.
100%.
But here in my book, I write about carbon dating being busted. And once you break that down, then everything's possible. So I get into like the buildings you talk about. So this is my book I just published. I don't know if I have the cover on it or not. Yeah, here. And this gets into what we were before we were one America. Because I asked the question, why did they keep calling them all these different names? What was it when we were all one, right? Yeah, I agree. Exactly. So, you know, when we're all one, I mean, what was one America? And that got me going a long time ago about this. So I knew about the Jesuits. So I write about this and how they've BS'd us in so many different ways, and George Stone's and how this means to the original natives and move from Moors, and just bringing in some of this ancient knowledge about what we've been, where we've been, and then how Antiquitech, have you heard of Valix energy, Borgia energy? I mean, cathodes, these churches were healing centers. They were energy centers. Elegant, beautiful, sacred geometry.
We talk about the exact things on this same channel. It's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so I cover this in my book, The Great Antiquity, Lost in Cities, Atlantis, Georgia. This is why I talk about the separation. So maybe it wasn't so long ago, Richard, that we were all together and we were all manifesting in the feminine divine. You know, one thing I bring back is I understood greatly is my mom had 7 children, and she's the only one that can birth spirit into this world. I can't do that, right. You know, and I have to honor the feminine divine needs their place. We got to stop using language like she male. I mean, he, she, or woe man, or you know, all husband, you know, all mankind, all of these names are her son. You know, where's the feminine divine in any of that? You know, it's not there. And so that's, I have a problem with some religions that don't allow the sacred divine, the feminine divine, like nature, nurture. And this gets in the way of the ancient primal teachings that you give back more to nature than you take. It's directly opposing that. So
And then,
go ahead.
Well, I didn't want you to forget you were going to talk about the wisdom teeth. We were going to.
Oh, thank you. Good. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So the wisdom teeth, I learned, and my brother, the dentist, for 30 years, he's down in Sausalito, and he really means well, and he uses appliances. But why do you take out your wisdom teeth? There's 12 cranial nerves that are attached to your wisdom teeth. And think for 1 second, do you think God in his or her intelligent design would not allow the wisdom of the sacred anchor of your mouth connected to your brain, to the 12 cranial nerves, to be connected? Not. Why do they put mercury in teeth? Oh, it's easy to work with. My brother says, yeah, but what happens when they break it? It gets bacterial, right? That becomes methyl mercury. Then you get toxic. Yeah, but they come back for good business.
Right.
It's a business, guys. It's a business, guys.
All of that business. Yeah.
My dad would have the girls with the push-up bras. All the drug reps for all these little cuties that come in, because the doctors don't remember stuff and they're too busy, and it's just all a scam. So you got to take control of your life again. And so getting back to all this stuff too about, but what was it we were talking about? The mercury is that we have to purify our system from this. And methyl mercury in bacteria, mercury is not bad until it encounters bacteria. And then that's what dentists don't understand. And then also, just the leakage and stuff. I'm fear for my brother who loses his mind, from dealing with it for so long.
Yeah.
But we have options. We got things we can do to take back care of our own health. And that's what's fun about biomagnetism and some of the healing modalities that are nurture nature and fun to present to people. And I've been doing it for 2-3 years, and I trained under Dr. Garcia, who's the best in the world at it. So, I mean, when all this stuff is darkness, is like I'm saying, there's some good stuff happening too. And just like in this book, we talk about the energy, the free energy, which you said you talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the proof. This is the knowledge. This is here you go, about how they do it, what they did, and ads they did it when they did it. Eiffel Tower, that kind of stuff. This is all the domes, copper. Copper's transfer of energy. Then you got your magnets. Then you got your rod coming up here to collect the voltage from the sky, grounded to the earth. I mean, it's all elegant in their design. Who created that? Who thought that? Who built that? This is all our nature. This is all where we came from. This is the knowledge we've lost. And now we're getting it back. And so what they did when the brownskins were here and stuff, they whitewashed everything. The Chicago exhibition, the great whitewash.
Right.
This is white guys coming over. I don't care who you are. This is true. They came over here and took over the brownskins. And why does every city look like a motherboard? Are they harvesting everybody's energy now? Is this just energy of us? And we don't know it yet, but we're just, because that's the story of going back to the fifth Griffin, not Griffin. What's his name? Well, I'll think of it in a minute, but harvesting our energy was something they did back in 16th century when they muted us with animals. I'll think of it in a minute.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
What are your thoughts on, hopefully she wrote it right this time, Melanie, addadectomy surgery? God, I hope that's not something gross. What is that? Or is she good on me and that's not real?
Let me get to that in 1 second. But
okay,
this is more important. Sorry, Melanie.
Yes, please.
So look at down here: Egypt, China, Mexico, Orion's belt, all the same, all aligned. Who the heck could do that? Why'd they do that? I don't even know this was possible. This is how ignorant more than 99% of most people are. We don't sleep under the stars anymore. This is what the ancient technologies knew. They harvested energy. They were spiritual beings, Christ consciousness. This is Mount Golgotha stuff. Why was Christ buried on Mount Golgotha? And that's the skull. And so these guys are mimicking that. And the Ryans, it's all perfect accordance around the world. How do they know to communicate? How do they do it all the same? Because they had higher intelligence people. And the whole story was spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and going around, and they never change, and the stars never change, and the pyramids never change. Just totally blows up the whole ball theory. And then here's pyramids all around the world the same. They had the same consciousness. And this consciousness was honoring a higher place, a higher plane. They're energy harvesters. And now we're learning about energy once again. And so this is the seed of life. And if you look at it, magnetism, this is the same as a magnet. This is the same as the energy field of a magnet right there. And so this is all part of the snakes of the West. When Africa and America were connected, they had the similar beings all around different parts of the world. So it made sense they were all connected at one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is part of the Pangea. And the snakes were their Amorica, because the serpent is the natives of the ancient Mayans and Mexican natives. So again, carbon dating, and this is something, I don't know, do you know many people think like this or know about this, Richard?
Think like about what, the carbon dating thing, or what do you mean?
Yeah. That it's debunked.
Yeah, I mean, well, most of the people that watch my show, or the ones that I'm on, we discuss things.
Good.
It's all been, and there's a lot of history you can see that instead of, let's say, the date is 1877, it's an I or a J, and it's actually probably 877. So there's a lot of that throughout our history too that you can see. So,
well, and here's the proof. Here's the headlines. Look it up for yourself, kind of thing. But again, this is what we've been trained, right? And it blows up all of history. Hello, what? And this is why we get some things are more important than others, kind of thing. So that's why I'm wanting everybody to understand that this is based on all our history of all we've been taught and all the stupid books from Cornell and stuff. It just it's estimated age of 4.5 billion years they're missing by radiometric dating. I mean, this is ridiculous. And so now we know that everything's BS. We can make up our own stories. What's the truth? And we go back to the ancient mythics. And this is one thing I want to debunk again, too, please. Thank you for having me. The great African American slave trade. I mean, give me a freaking break. So
I covered this too, yeah.
My contention is Africa is connected up here. Look it up. It kind of connects. Al Gore talked about it in his movie Inconvenient Truth. And so if you look at the math, 4.25 million African slaves shipped to Brazil. Why not United States? Because it's across on flat Earth on boats. That comes to 43,750 trips. You break it down, it's 40,000 one-way trips, took 2 months. That's 80,000 months, 6,666 years of collective travel time, one way, 12,000 plus years round trip. They would have to build 40,000 boats. If it took 3 to 5 years to build a single large cargo ship, 3-year average, it would take 220,000 years to build 40,000 boats. And then down here, after 20 years with 15 ships, they transported 90,000. That's a long way from the 15 million to 20 million slaves who were supposedly brought to the Americas. I mean, again, everything's a lie. That's the title of my book, anyway. And then here's the Jews, Jesuit symbology. They've taken Earth and reversed it by 1,000 years. This is all the J that you see up there, and they've taken 1,000 years.
That's what we've talked about. Yeah.
So that's one of their games too, and that's in that book I cover on the Tartarian book I have. Is these Russian guys show that and talked about that too, and only the history goes back to a certain way, the written history. So again, everybody says Africa. Well, it's not Africa a country, right?
Yeah. Well, I had an interesting idea on Africa because I have a book, Chariots of the Gods, and it has a photo in the middle of it, and it shows a flat Earth map, and Africa's center north. And so my thought process is that possibly that is where, if Eden exists here on Earth, maybe it's there because you can't get to the area supposedly where Eden is. And Africa, at least in America, we're told wild animals, starving kids, and desert, and that's it. And yet there's like some of the most amazing rainforests and things there. And possibly that's, God's throne sits over that. Mount Kilimanjaro is there, so Satan's probably sitting on that one. I don't know. A lot of interesting thoughts going. Things in Africa, out of Africa. Toto talks about Africa. There's a lot of things going on.
We can't do anything about stuff we read in the paper and see on the news. All we can do is around our neighborhood know who you're at, who you can trust. In these times, there's just people don't communicate anymore, and they've really got everybody not talking about stuff. So your work is to find others and share these kind of truths that we're talking about tonight. I mean, but this goes all the way back to leaving the moon calendar. And when did we get onto the Gregorian calendar, right? They just literally just eliminated back in 1752, right? And that we got on the male calendar. We've been on the male calendar ever since. It used to be just like the female month, 28 months, 13 months, 364 days, and they had 1 day of rest. So it was very timely. Now, we've got science. It's 364 and a quarter plus leap year plus, 29 March, and then we got all these different. They just got us by the words.
Yeah.
Corral. And then the other thing too is like, I bust everybody about the Italian Renaissance. It was only spoken by 2.5% of the population before 1861. Say what? So that's the whole Renaissance being busted, and here's the hidden treasures. And that's why I say we got to preserve knowledge now.
Well, that whole story on the Renaissance was ridiculous too. The Dark Ages, everyone forgot to do everything, and suddenly we had this revival, and everyone could do amazing things. So,
think how long this. What I'm showing you is right here. This is 2021. This is the archives of the Vatican.
Yeah,
these are our masters, you guys. They own all this stuff. They do whatever they want.
Right.
They say whatever they want. And this is what I'm saying is they got the water, they got all this stuff. So they got us all talking like little children, and one of the things again, the Tartarian thing, horse and buggy is, look at that guy on the right. I mean, that's how they put on pillars today. And then you're telling me that back in the 1850s, 1760s, 1790s, 1812s, 1862s, 1860s, horse and buggy. Wait.
I've gone
one more time. That picture is that guy doing all that work to get that little thing in. And same time back then, horse and buggy. I mean, this is the story, Richard. I'm sorry.
Jamie, I've gone round and around with people on this that they tell me that they were big horses or big donkeys or mules, whatever. I have yet to find a picture of a horse on a second level of any building.
Or any plans at all for design. Or where they got the quarries from, or any of that's designed, and I get into all that stuff, where they get the stuff for. But look at the other designs, and this is what I'm talking about, the free energy. They got copper domes, and this is connected up here, and this is connected to the mercury. And up here, they create the electrostatic energy to create magnetricity. It's not electricity. Magnetricity is the creation of energy. Magnets create energy. Electricity transfers energy. All right, just like the L is form.
Yeah.
And so this is magnetricity, and that's what they're creating up here in the copper domes, and that's free energy for everybody. And that's why they have these towers up here that they're collecting up energy. And these designs are all sacred designs. And who built these? You're telling me horse and buggy? Well, let me say this. It's really been nice being your friend, but I got to go.
Yeah.
You want more? I mean, give him my book. I mean, this is why I'm putting this all together. Give him this book and say, yeah, really? How about this? Really?
Well,
that's around the world. That's over here. That's over here around the world. How do they all know the same time? The story
and if you look at, like, for instance, I covered the Lincoln Memorial. It was built on a swamp, supposedly. Like, that's the best place we could have done it. You know what I mean? So how the horses swim out there,
Well, this is, I talk about the Great Whitewash in Latin America. Okay, what does Latin mean? That means you're Spanish owned. What was it before? Oh, it was the Brownskins property. Okay, we're going to take you over. We're going to make all these movies of Indian savages, and we're going to give you all names like Indians and Negroes and niggers and Redskins and all these different names to cover up the two tribes of the Moors and the Copperheads and the original tribes' names and make our own names about them. And all these tribes and names, the Brownskins, they were all part of one. They were all brownskins. There was no white people here until these guys came. And then they named them Latin. I mean, let's really tell the right story here, okay?
Yeah.
And so that's what they took over all the lands with the story. And that's what we've been taking over. And since we're white people, we're elegant, we're okay. And again, the America, what America? Which one are you talking about? So
Well, look, we were touching on 3 hours.
There's just one more thing I wanted to.
Yes.
And thank you again for having me. We still have people with me, or just you and me?
Oh yeah, no, it's my pleasure. We have like 150 people here. They probably wanted to go another 3 hours, but at some point I'm gonna have to. We could do a second show if you grace coming on again.
Let me just finish with this, because this is where it really gets fun.
Please.
And I'm just like I said, I go to analyze, and I've written books, and so I just kind of putting this out there and putting my cojones out there, and look at it, should have been doing at that. It's just I get nailed by the grammar Nazis like crazy. And so this is a map, and us in the biblical world, and people in the know what a lot of this means, and so rethink your thought process about the potentiality. And this is where West Africa, Mauritania, okay, and Atlanta, Georgia, CDC, Coca-Cola. That's where Georgia Guidestone's right there. Atlanta, right? That's where where Atlantis used to be. And that's when it broke apart, and Atlantis was underneath there. So this is the land of the serpent I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this lays out in this Pangaea theory I'm putting together, I guess. And you can see where the actual images of Mauritania and South America, fits like a glove. And Al Gore made reference to that when he talked about that Inconvenient Truth movie. And you can see how it could fit. And so my thesis is it didn't happen that long ago. And America was when the Moors were here. So you go back to the Eyes of Atlantis in West Africa, where Atlanta, Georgia is now. And this is Mauritania right here. And that's the Atlantis. That's the home of Atlantis, those circles.
Right, because that's like, there's a description that matches that. I've covered that.
And you know what that is? That's your atlas. That's the top of your shoulders. That held the weight of the world, and that's the beginning of the world. And the Mercator map just nails it right into there. But here's where it is: the Eye of the Sahara, and then the Yemen Jews and Fallen Shishis, Berbers, Moors, and Negro Jews. So those were the ones that lived in the colonies in the areas right there. The Yemen Jews, Falashas, Berber, Moorish, which I cover, Negro, and Jews. And Jews twice. And then Atlas on the mountain carrying it. That's what they're talking about, the weight of the world right there. So this is what they're talking about, Mauritania, that was connected in Atlanta, Georgia. And that was our sacred lands. So look at the Sahara Desert and lost city of Atlantis.
Right.
Same profile, right? They're harvesting energy. They're building things around energy. And this is what I'm talking about in Atlanta, Georgia Guidestone. I forgot about Ted Turner, depopulation specialist. He runs CNN, founded it, right?
Right.
Bill Gates' father was I mean, they're all in on it. So I went there to Georgia Guidestones. I went and saw it, took pictures. It had very much intensity and meaning behind it. And then here's old maps, Canada, French, proving, paradise could have been original in Florida. Ethiopia. Huh. This is a map from Florida.
Interesting.
Chattanooga River, the southern Georgia border. So this is saying that, the center, and this is going to make a lot of people go, what? So notice here, Eden, Meru. This is the old map center, and here's the magnetic stone in the middle, the magnetic north.
Right.
And Eden, Meru. Why do they call it Eden, Meru? And here's the four rivers, the four circles that break out when it starts spinning, like I said, like a record player. And when you see this go down, you see on this map, the center, when you take it out a little bit.
And biblically, it talks about there's a period of time when he separates everything like this.
Yeah.
Mountains are moved away from each other. And I've covered it. There's some mountain ranges that you can see. They're on one end of this. They go underwater, and they're over here. So you can really see how a lot of these were connected.
Yep, almost all religions have biblical flood stories. You know what I mean?
Right.
But check this out, though. So look at the inner map I was just showing you, right? And it's in Latin or something. And then, but look out above it in the map outside of it, it's got California.
Right. I think that was it. It was California and Scotland or something. They had this.
Down below Scotland and Greenland. So I went enlarged it and said, "Holy cow! Look at all this." And then this is where the magnet center is, and this is where we're tapping to in our mind, the magnetic pole, and this is right at the center of everything, and that's where everything connects to the throne of God.
And the new maps now, they say there's nothing at the North Pole. There is no North Pole. It's just ice and water.
No, the northern star was put up there to remind us where God is. I mean, in the heavens above, and so you always know where the pole star is. Yeah. And that's why the Big Dipper has the dipper that it points to it and circles around everything in the same swastika direction, in a clockwise direction, and that's the native seasons of all life and all eternity.
I can't believe I haven't watched your episode. I mean, before just recently, because we talk about the same things. It's fascinating to me.
Well, it's fun to be able to share with people that Asia is also included in these old maps. Here's California. So California is very sacred land, and that's why I think these menaces now are taking back California. And here's these maps again with California. So, I mean, this is old record of the ancient sacred maps, but also to blow your skirt over your head, Richard. The Wisconsin state capital in Madison, Wisconsin. Is anybody know this one? The Greco-Roman architecture, horse and buggy, was built by the Cherokee cherry tree before the Great Comet of 1811-12. That's the what's his face's comet I was talking about, and destroyed the old world order that was ruled by blackamoors. That was the Moors I was talking about. This was once a free energy building before they removed the gold or copper plated dome. The state capital is a physical representation of Mount Meru, Mary, which is the Arctic North Pole, because you can see the four rivers, the four buildings of the Garden of Eden, and the tree of life, the dome, that emulates from the center of the source. Who knew, right?
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, this is ancient design. I mean, this is really here. It's still there to teach us decoding and learning, and Moors. So I'm just making this case about Moors, the cosmic serpent that very few people know anything about. But then you go down and see more pyramids down in South America and Mexico than you see anywhere in the world. And they're more historic and acoustically amazing. And they have, like this one here in Quetzalcoatl, at the equinox, the shadows like a snake go up and down this thing. And look at the heads in here carved in. How did they do it? They're all sacred about myths and mythologies that everybody knew about, the serpent symbolism. So I'm just trying to bring some knowledge that I learned along, and why these evildoers are using the symbols against us is it's a takeover of the whole, if this is God's creation and we're going to rule here, it's going to be in our creation. That's what the whole game is about. And right. We don't want your souls coming back to fight us, so we're taking care of you now. You're not coming back, so don't worry. We're taking care of you now, and that's the AI. That's the takeover of human souls. And then when they do that, you don't come back again, and they win. That's because we have freedom of choice. That's the whole game right now. So knowledge is a good thing. So here's the Vedic Hindu cosmology, and the Kappa Yoga, Yoga Loka. People understand some of those words. And Sanskrit means world. And so these are the layers we're in right now, and what we've done from Mount Meru, Mary. And so it brings perspective into the ancients. I've spent some time in Tibet, and the ancients have these stories of these times right now that are the age of Aquarius, the age of the mind, the age of Saturn, the age of higher consciousness. And we get a spiritual consciousness door that's open for the first time in 6,000 years. And we understand that there was Atlantis and Lemuria and Hyperborea, and those are all real. And we have layers on layers of knowledge of time. And this is my buddy, Martin Kennedy. And, this has opened my mind so much, and I help share the knowledge of my book, and he's got his. And
I appreciate that.
Well, and then here's some of our understanding of, us. And Polaris is up there as the northern star. And that's why everything's pointing up there, so we know where the throne of God is. So that's why, Richard, they've taken light pollution, and we don't get to see and know where the stars anymore.
Right. It makes it difficult, although.
How many people know anything about a real star rotation connected to the mythology, connected to,
we're disconnected from all that. We're disconnected, like you said, with the rubber soles on every footwear you have from the ground. They're disconnecting us, everything that's creation, or God. Absolutely. Hey, before we wrap it up, I have to ask because Melanie keeps hammering away.
Oh,
Can
yeah,
you see
yeah,
this?
yeah.
Can you see this question so I don't have to say? Well,
No,
I'll
no, no,
say
no,
it.
no. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. I know
Is
what you're
this a
going to say.
real thing or is she goofing on me? What is this?
Well, she wants to bring politics and sexual content in modern day, whatever, in a religious context to me to ask you a question.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do it later. We'll do it live. We'll figure it out. But there was another question. So for me, I do want. I think we have to kind of wind it down. But for me, I would say the what? Sorry, did you say something?
I didn't say anything. No.
Oh, for me, the way that I see out of this is through my spirituality, through, as my shirt says, faith, family, and farm, through learning how to provide for myself and my family and teach that through our generations like we used to. And I'll do that through my relationship with God. But do you have advice for people that you would say, okay, you've told us all this, they're doing this, it's coming, and blah, blah, blah. What ways do you say that you would recommend to sidestep it and be safe in this?
Wow. We went through some stuff, huh?
We sure did. My goodness.
What was the question again in short?
Well, I guess I see salvation through my relationship with God, and I'm going to continue to teach like you're doing. I'm also going to continue to work at learning how to be self-sufficient. We do farming too. We have chickens, we grow food, and I'm trying to go back to like years ago. It was all about family and traditions and teaching like the knowledge. We didn't kick the old people out into the old folks home and wait for them to die. We kept them where we learned from them.
That's so important you bring that up. So that's what I'm saying. We're keepers of the knowledge. And just think about this onslaught coming in as the pensions get cut. That's when the Silicon Valley Bank just blew up. That was the going after the pension money, and there's not going to be any of that money for people when they want to retire. Now I'm in the baby doomer generation of 60s, 70s, and we're retiring, and there's not going to be the money in there, and there's nobody going to be able to take care of us. And Alzheimer's, small degeneration is happening faster and faster. So there's going to be this just continual health, and then the technology is just taking over the minds of the children for future generations, and they're taking care of the outside world. Anything with a device, you're going to have to get your vaccine. You're going to have to get your access to credit scores about talking about stuff like this. You're not going to be able to. And if you don't conform, no bank account, and that's coming. And they said it's coming. The world ain't going to conform. So it's a matter of time. So we need to get back to the gardens. And now what I'm saying and what I'm talking about being a farmer for 15 years is they're spraying stuff on our farms out here in California where stuff won't grow. And I've been chronicling this for 2-3 years. So, the food, we need to go greenhouse. We need to learn more about it. But unfortunately, until it happens, we're not going to react. But for each one of us, what I suggest the most important thing is prepare yourself in your house for as long as you can, the best you can. Do it now. Whatever you think, see how long you can stay with whatever you got in there without having to go out. Because it might be too crazy. Well, watch the movie The Cell, 2016 with John Cusack.
That was a Stephen King book. I read that.
Did you watch the movie?
No, I haven't. That was one with John Cusack and somebody else famous.
I don't watch the movie because at the end of it, spoiler alert, his son, who he finally finds after the airport, he was supposed to meet him, and then the whole thing went haywire. When through the phones of everybody, they all went into a zombie zone. And he tried to find his son and finally found him at the end of the movie. And at the very end of the movie, he's walking around with his son, but they'll both have their mouths open, walking around the 5G tower. That's how it ends. Oh my gosh, John Cusack and stuff,
He's one of my favorite handlers. We call them handlers on this channel because that's what they're there. They're there to entertain us, but at the same time, feed us with stuff that we don't even realize.
Well, all I'm saying is about preparedness, staying on that subject for a minute is,
yes.
I sell water sleeves. I don't make any money on it. It's just, it filters with Vortex water. And so that you can filter your water where you're at, or if you need to go out and get water. it'll filter it with this easy to use sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we all can do. And then because water is going to be an issue. And then also just see what kind of storage food you have, obviously. And then how much time can you go without food? Do you really need to have that much food all the time or whatever? And then how you can stay quiet in your place. I mean, just things we might have to do if the world out there gets crazy. And we can't trust anybody these days, unfortunately, because their minds have been programmed. And now they're all acting differently since COVID started. So everybody's got a different way of thinking.
I've been encouraging people to, I mean, it's fine to go on these shows and learn and have a chat where you can have a gathering. It's wonderful. But we have to start making relationships in our real life around our area, get to know people that you can count on so that if things go sideways, you'll have some, form of a community that you can work with.
Well, think about it as you talked about, and I bring up too, I'm in a farm and it's built in 1905. And so they had 44% of them were like me, my farm. And that supplied your own, took care of your own, fed a few community members, and you had your own horses, had your apple trees, had your sheep, and this built your own barns, had a lumber mill. I mean, that's the kind of place we all used to have. And that my dad said he remembered canned foods, for the first time in the 1950s and stuff. So that's when the food started becoming industrial. But before that, people saved seeds, they shared with each other. And up here in the community I'm at in Mendocino, this is a big food shed place. Big. I've been involved with it for years. We're having the worst time. We don't have a food shed in our community anymore. There's no food growing anymore. They've been spraying us, and they use plant synthetic biology to turn off the growing food. I haven't had strawberries. I haven't had blueberries. I haven't had my apple trees. There's spots. Everybody's having the same problem. Even the best farmers using biodynamic and stuff, they didn't have blueberries last year at all, and they're blueberry kings. The food supply is being turned off, and that's what this Hurricane Dora was about. That was that film. Did anybody else get film on their cars or anything like that? Wherever you are, that came through this Hurricane Dora a few days ago, allegedly. But my car, I noticed that same kind of stuff that's in my dog's bottom bowl sometimes. So just do as healing as you can. And then if you have to hang out, and also keep record, physically or written or whatever, because this is important knowledge for people. Because we're at the
I love what you said right there, because we are the record keepers and we need to have some kind of something to pass on to the next generation if we're not here.
We got to pretend we're ongoing. This is what I insulted about everything is we don't pretend we're ongoing. We've given up. If we're talking about, oh my God, they got us. I mean, that's all we, no, what do you want? What is it you want, and start doing what you want. But the first thing is always keep track of this is what this Operation Crimson and stuff is. They live to tell. We may just be the keepers of the knowledge. Our role might just be to save all this, because electronically we're not going to be viable. It's not going to be something we're going to touch anymore. It's not going to be, we can't do this anymore. That's coming up shortly. Google just said we're in partnership. Nobody's going to do anything. Sorry, it's one world. They just said that. And then YouTube just announced. Did you see that too about YouTube?
But what they always announce new things. What they say this time?
Well, this is my biomag side of things. There it is. This is 3 days ago.
And thank you. We still have almost 150 people here still here. Thank you all. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed.
Staying up too late. Thank you for being here. So this is the new policies targeting what? Medical misinformation.
Oh yeah. They do the new ones every week, it seems, on that.
Well, but this is announcing that they're going to do it and making the Hill. This is one of their little show reporting things.
Yeah, because now you can't talk about cancer. You can only say pills, radiation, or chemo, and that's it. You say anything else, and you're out. And that was part of the thing that they just sent out.
Well, no, but for me, because I'm in the business, this is my website, Biomag Healer, using the magnets I'm telling you about. They've come after me so many times, but this is something everybody can learn from themselves. And what I found about dental mercury, we're talking about teeth and stuff, right? and the pineal gland and how this mercury and stuff. Here's the data to help you learn about all this. And I can teach anybody about energy work, about using our own higher consciousness to help people.
Is that on your website? Because I shared your link to your website.
This is my YouTube.
On your YouTube.
Yeah, the website is.
Right. I think Melanie shared your YouTube too. So, but
Okay.
what we can hit that up maybe another show because that's another whole fascinating conversation about healing.
Yeah, well, and again, the balance, and Libra is the month of balance. We're going to see the light too, and spiritually, we're all coming back to what life meaning means. Why are we here? What does life mean? Where are we going? And closer connection to thee. So, in some ways, it's really an awakening from a rock age of, what did they call 500 years ago, Richard? The Dark Ages, right? That's in the densest iron age, where no knowledge in the church, the Roman Catholic Church, ruled all thought. Right?
That's interesting idea you had. I always thought that since we live in Satan's upside down backwards world, the Dark Ages were probably the light years of Christ, because then they would just pretend nothing happened.
Yeah, but we came back to Mother Earth to help her and be with her, and
that's why we're here.
And kick the maternal, male principle of Thor, of the sun, of that, and get back to the moon and Mother Nurture Nature, because nature's gives us life. And if we don't start going back to the soil and growing food and putting healthy food in our bodies again, we've been synthesized and transhumanized, and we all know it. So the only answer is getting back to the earth, getting back to the mother, and she needs our help too. She's getting, I see birds and everything. I see what's happening with the stuff they're doing to animals too. It's all life, and so we get reconnected to life is a good thing that happens when you get back to growing your own food. And I talk about the ancient, this is what they used to do. And do you know basketball originated with the Mayans?
With who?
The Mayans.
Okay, I have to hit you with this. This, I don't know. We didn't even get into, say, quantum effect, or people call Mandela effect. But when I was researching the 2012, the Mayan calendar and all that,
yeah,
I was doing a show, I don't know, a year or so ago, and I had to look something up, and that has now changed. There's never been the Mayan calendar or the Mayan people. It has no N. They've always been known as the Mayas, even though everyone types Mayan. So that's a weird thing if we want to talk about quantum effects some other time. But
no, yeah. I talk about that a lot, the Mayan calendar, sophistication of it, and this is the prophecy. Do you remember? You're probably not old enough, Ceiling Fan Man, but
that's sweet of you.
What was I talking about?
The Mayans.
Oh yeah, the Mayans. Okay, so December 21st, 2012. What was that?
Well, that was supposed to be the end of the world, right?
End of the Mayan calendar. 5,163-year-old rock that predicted on that date would be the end of Maya.
Correct.
All right. Everybody goes, what? Now looking back, Maya in sacred language means illusion. So literally the end of illusion. And look at how much you and I on the wall have learned about since 2012.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Because that's really when a lot of people woke up or started having their eyes awakened.
Well, just think for yourself. I mean, look at yourself and think about others. Yeah, you rather saw other people come in or whatever. But think about how many more people just since the COVIDiocracy started that have woken up and tested new things and opened to new things. So there's a reason we're getting all this knowledge now. Because they're heating up the stove, and so we gotta start forming our own, getting back to our own little groups together, learning skills that we can help each other with. And having a bug out route and having a hangout route if whatever you can do about it. But just be on your toes, because October is about rebalancing month, and Libra, and that's when they like to do stuff. The stock market and October 19th, 1987 dropped 23.5% in one day. So just in, Wall Street knows all that stuff.
Well, the thing is going biblical. Have your oil lamps ready at all times. Is the way I would say it.
Well, and just have love in your heart, because here's the other thing I've learned from this journey is I feel for people so much more now, because they don't know so much. I've learned so much, and I'm going, okay, you're going to be there someday. I know you will. Yeah, this will be fun. Hi.
I think there's two things that God's teaching us in this time amongst everything else, and that's patience and empathy, because it's not there in the world, and so we have to hold that to our hearts, because there are people that are like, wow, the thing you were talking about 2 years ago, I see what you're saying now, and we have to be ready and accepting.
Can I show you something on energy work that may work for you and works for many people? If you got one more minute.
I have one more minute.
2 more minutes. All right. So if you don't want to, whatever, but this is energy work I do every day when I'm working with my biomag work. And I'd love to see for you, hold up one hand or the other.
Hold up one hand. Okay.
All right. And then like peace sign, and then twiddle your peace sign back and forth.
Okay.
And you can look at your fingers and see them move, and then stop and get a baseline. All you're looking for is a baseline. Okay. Now, you're going to give your fingers a command and do it out loud or silently. And then when you do, stop your fingers and see if your fingers cross. So as I tell you the command, then you tell your fingers, and then you stop and see what happens after you tell your fingers. So twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. Tell your fingers, say, show me a yes, and stop.
Show me a yes.
Stop.
Okay.
Again, put them back together at baseline. Okay. Go ahead. Now twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. Look at your fingers, say, show me a no.
Show me a no. Oh, that's interesting.
You got it.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Right there. So mine is show me a yes, show me a no. And there's different ways to do that. You can do it with your thumbs. Show me a yes, show me a no. You can do it with your arms. Drop your arm. Show me a yes. This is the energy we're connected. Yeah, you do your thumbs. You do that one.
Yeah, the thumb. That's interesting.
So you can. This will be a fun one for you. Do you know how to pray?
Yes, I do. I hope so. Otherwise, I've been doing it wrong. I don't know.
All right, so everybody play along. So put your hand in prayer, and let's see at least the top half of your hands. Put your hands in prayer.
All right.
All right. Now put them in this prayer.
I'll put like this. Okay.
There you go. Now look at your middle fingers, and get a baseline and hold your palms at the base, and look at your middle fingers. And see if they're about even. Now you're going to open at the base, right? Clap, clap, clap.
Okay. Right.
And show me a yes, and then stop.
Show me a yes. Okay.
Did it change at all?
Did it change? I guess my right hand's a little bit higher.
All right, put it back to baseline.
Okay.
Clap, clap, clap. Show me a no. See if you get any change.
Show me a no. Okay, this is weird. This is weirding me out because I've never bought into this stuff. But my left finger is a little higher there.
All right, that's weird. Well, that's weird. Yeah, I know more about this than most anybody you know.
Show me a yes. Okay.
You're getting them all. You're getting them all. All right, now bring your. Now this is how you can teach people too. And you can try with children; they pick it up faster. So bring your hands down.
Okay.
And make your thumbs. And look at your thumb. The top of your thumbs is baseline. There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Now twiddle your thumbs any way you want. Twiddly diddly do. Twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. Stop. Get a baseline. Stop and see where your thumbs are. Okay.
My left one's on top of my right one.
All right. Whatever your baseline is, whatever you come back to, you feel good at, that's where you're at. Wherever. Okay. You just want to know what your baseline is.
Okay.
That's all you're looking for to start. Everything you start with is what am I looking for when my hands work normally?
Huh.
There you go.
That's interesting because, I really, as much as I do know the mind does so many things, I've never really bought into that whole thing, but that's interesting.
No, let me finish with it though. Yeah. So put your hands up. Put your hands up and your thumbs up there.
Doing it. Okay, yeah.
Put your thumbs up there like this. There you go. Twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. Stop. Now say, show me a yes. Look at your fingers. Say, show me a yes, and stop.
Show me a yes. Okay. So I got to
get. Okay, go back to baseline. Twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. Look at your fingers. Show me a no.
Show me a no. Yeah. This Yeah.
So
There's a difference. It's interesting.
right, let me have a little fun with you. We still got 150 with us.
Nice. Well, 128. I think the
There you go.
twiddling thumb got dropped some of, but that's okay.
No, we got one more. We're going to bring some back here. Okay, if you can.
Or they're falling asleep. You know, it's like midnight over in the East Coast.
Do you have the ability to stand up and turn sideways at all?
Yeah. Let me see.
If you can do that, I want to show you one thing about another way of testing. It's called muscle testing, what we're doing here.
Okay.
And the audience, everybody can see this. So turn your right shoulder back a little bit more.
Turn my right shoulder back like this.
No, the other way.
The other way. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. A little more.
All right.
All right. Now, wherever you're facing right there is perfect.
Okay.
Now, just find your happy place. Settle over your feet.
My happy place. Okay.
All right. Now, just get in your happy place. Now, say, show me a yes, and see if you move forward or backward. Show me a yes.
Show me a yes. I kind of was leaning forward. I didn't move, though.
Go back center.
Okay.
Show me a no.
Show me a no. Huh. Let me try that again. Show me a yes. When I say yes, my body wants to go forward. When I say no, it didn't move.
No, you got the. No, stay up there. One more.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Right. Now, just for everybody, because this is the way everybody can show you and how many different ways you can do this. I program my eyes to blink if someone's lying to me. This is what we all can learn to do.
Wow.
You know, this is what's fun about this. So one more we're going to show you. All right. Okay. So now you turn your other way.
This way again?
Yeah. I want you sideways is the best way. I want to see your hands. Put your arms up at shoulder level and make knuckles. Make your hands like a fist. There you go. Now bring them together and just look at the end of your knuckles and get your baseline end of your knuckles, okay? Now drop your shoulders, go to your happy place, just go like that, and look at the end of your knuckles where they are. Okay, now drop your arms, drop your shoulders. Okay, now say, show me a yes, and raise your arms and put them back up same place. Show me a yes.
Show me a yes. Okay.
You see anything?
Yeah, this arm's above that one.
Okay, drop them again. Show me a no.
Show me a no. They're about even.
Okay, well, you notice out of the 8 or 9 we did, you noticed stuff in every one of them.
I did, which I didn't expect to. I thought.
Well, this is only like 8-9 months old. I got it from Dr. Garcia, who got it from down in Mexico, that we could do it with our fingers, and I can do it with both fingers. Intuitively, what happens, Richard, is you start hearing the answer before your fingers start confirming, and you intuitively get connected closer to source. This is spiritual guidance we're getting. I'm using it to use for biomag healing. Should I do this protocol, that protocol, and now I place magnets on for energy to help people. So anyway, thank you again for having me.
Wow, thank you. Like I didn't have enough to already had my head spinning. You added that thing on the end.
No. So okay, so here, it's like a loaded wahoo. Let me just give you an idea of the power that you possess now. This will be with you the rest of your life.
All right.
This gift that the ancients, and just in our Western minds, we're so cannibalized and colonized. In the ancients, the Egyptians called it ka. In the Vedics, the Persians, they called it prana, and the Asians called it chi. Right? Yoga chi. What's the name for it in the Western world? We don't. And if Dr. Garcia is right, 80% of all mental or all physical issues are met from mental issues. And he's right.
Yeah.
And how much does Western medicine deal with emotional issues? It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
And if you take the word therapist and you put a little space in it, it's the rapist.
Correct.
And if you take pharmacy and you get hurt, you harm yourself, that's the harmcy. And
or also biblically, it's pharmakia is what.
There you go. And then and so you can go just all the way down the whole thing, the game they're playing with. So, but we have our word, and we have our say, and we're able to share, and we're able to know we're not alone, and that's because your work you're doing, and that's helpful to many people. Because we're learning a lot. I mean, you and I are just saying, "Whoa, really?" You know, But overwhelmingly, we have to get back to community, and someday we turn this off. And that's the L turning off from the world they created. And we have to go from Elohim, we have to go from electricity, we have to go from elegant, all these male words, parent. You don't have ma rent, you have parent, for rent. That's what it literally means, male rent. And we have, just to rant one more second, we have Jeffrey Epstein, everybody knows, but nobody's gone to jail, nobody's gotten prosecuted, and the child trains continue. Yeah. And nobody's got the Roman Catholics up on their heels for all this. Canada and everywhere, everybody's writing about, knows about, New York Times publishes about. It just keeps going. It's ridiculous. And we wake up, we have to get back to saving knowledge, like I said. So power to all.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough. This has been as amazing a presentation, probably even better than I even expected. I would love to have you on again, because I'm sure we've just scratched the surface of your knowledge, and I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank Melanie for hooking us up together, and
everybody be safe. I put in my doors when I moved to the ranch 2007. Safety has no season, and just if everybody's doing something, you do the other thing. And the one thing we learned about the Lahaina fires too is don't wait, get out. Because they're blocking the roads. They're not just everybody said they couldn't get out. So my friends, he went and tried to help some friends, came back half hour, 40 minutes later, the house was gone. Because, so anyway, so that's just
if we learned anything from the Amityville horror, get out.
keep your gas tank full. That's the other thing I'm saying, is keep the gas tank full, you know what I'm saying? So just have mobile, have options, that's kind of thing. Anyway, thank you all.
All righty. I'll probably say a little prayer to wind us out. You want to stay for that, or you?
I'd love to.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone that's been here all night and that'll be watching this later. It's just been a wonderful night, and I just want to, for anybody that's listening, may God watch over all of us, protect us, and fill us with wisdom, with patience, with understanding and empathy for the people that are just figuring this out. And may He watch over us and our loved ones and our families throughout these times, and guide us through these times with love and peace. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So.
Wait.
What happened?
That was beautiful. I'm a former altar boy, I'm Roman Catholic. I was, ringing the bell and drinking the wine. But that was beautiful. That was really nice. Thank you.
Oh, that's really nice of you to say.
No,
all right. Well, then I do two things before we go. I dismiss the class with, where is he? This guy somewhere here.
Class is dismissed.
Wow, what a class it was tonight. My goodness. So thank you again, Jamie. Thank you, everyone that's still here and that was here earlier, and anyone that's going to watch this later. And we're going to go out with a song. It was a pleasure meeting you. I can't wait to talk to you again. So
yeah, thank you again. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Good night, everybody.